Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
You remember earlier this week we had the magician on who is charged tens of thousands of dollars a year in fines and fees and regulations and has to create a disaster plan for the rabbit he uses in the show. You've, of course, heard about them wanting $5,000 a day fines for dust, hay dust in a barn. You have just seen all the madness that's going on to shut down our economy and to collectivize this nation. But I have several videos today. One of these actually went up yesterday morning on Infowars.com, but I'm going to be getting to it later in the hour. An animal shelter took in a baby deer, so they SWAT teamed them because they put a YouTube video out about it, and a bunch of good neighbors tattled on them that it was supposedly illegal. And so they came and killed the baby deer and put it in a body bag. Armed agents raid animal shelter for baby deer and kill it. WISN TV. Now, again, these are being run over all day, ladies and gentlemen. But if you try to save one, the bureaucrats are going to come after you. Then I have City of Seattle bans the words brown bag and bans the word citizen. Both are offensive. Now, again, you've got real racism going on. White against black, black against white, you name it. You've got the so-called left, coming out. And, I mean, I heard one of the leftist local talk show hosts yesterday morning say that anybody who's poor, i.e. minority, should be forcibly sterilized. They had a whole hour-long show about that with the favorite son liberal talk show host here in Austin. And I was driving into work listening to this, just going, I'm really hearing this? Because that's liberal to kill black people, to make sure they don't get born. But don't say brown bag. That's like we posted a joke satire video Nancy Pelosi caught in secret Obamacare meeting. It's just hilarious. And it shows the Affordable Care Act as a turd wrapped in the bill. And people are all over that on YouTube and on Infowars.com saying it's racist code word. No, sometimes a turd is a turd. We're saying that it's a horrible pile of Bravo Sierra. Like you say, that car's a lemon, that car's a... Or I tell you, this employee is are you miserable little... I think I've called my dog that before, when I've walked to the house at night and stepped in it. You little... But no, when I call my dog that, it's racism. I didn't know that. Again, this is an attack on free speech and the hate laws they want to put in to arrest whoever they want. That's coming up. Brown bag. Now, brown bag is associated for over 150 years with cheap mass-milled pulp paper. And that's why you call it brown bagging it. Brown bagging it means bringing your own lunch. And they know that. They want to expand it out to a point. I told you they arrest you in England for using the word homosexual, even though that's just a scientific term, like heterosexual, homosexual, Caucasian, Negro. All that supposedly is racist. There's white groups that don't want the word Caucasian used. They say it's hurtful. These are just names. Like, I've actually seen articles where people got mad in a restaurant because someone ordered a Negro Modelo. In fact, try to pull that up. It was a few years ago. I think it was in Dallas. People got mad, and there was a big scene. It was white yuppies that got mad. They heard the word Negro. Didn't know in Spanish that just means black. It just means, I want a dark beer. In German, it means Bock. I guess Bock means dark beer. That's racist too, folks. Can't say Bock beer. Can't say Negro Modelo. Can't say I want a... brown bag special. A lot of lunch places say you want the brown bag special, and you get your barbecue sandwich and your chips and your pickle and drink for $4 or whatever, and it's called it's a special. That's racist. So you're all looking for secret racism everywhere, but instead of the real racist stuff going on in front of you, the UN, running mass murder operations in Africa to take people's land. It's even the New York Times. Nobody gets in trouble. Remember, a teapot might look a little like Hitler, like a cloud, so you ban that. My dog looks like he has a Hitler mustache. Should he be euthanized? And I'm not joking. There may come a day when the death squad comes in the politically correct world. I tell you, I just can't believe it. It's all coming up. Big Benghazi news. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the second day of August 2013. I am your host, Alex Jones, on this Friday Worldwide edition. Thank you so much for joining us. We have popping in at the bottom of the next hour the $100,000 winner, first place prize winner of the Operation Paul Revere film contest for the film The Purge. And Michael Dorman will be joining us at the bottom of the next hour. James Dillingpole will then join us for part of the third hour to discuss his London Telegraph research of 97%. We actually already knew this, but I'm glad he did the research. 97. It was more than I thought. I thought it was around 90 because I'd found a few small oil companies that weren't funding it. 97% of the climate change, global warming fanatics are funded by oil companies. We'll be explaining why that is. When you say, listen, I don't think we should shut down all our power plants. They're totally clean. China has dirty ones. We can't compete. Shut up. You work for the oil companies. Well, actually, I don't work for the oil companies. I work for common sense and having an industry in this country. So that's going to be coming up so incredibly important. Now, we have huge news on the science front, massive news on the Benghazi front as well, and huge news on the BBC and the British government pedophile front that I've got to get to because I had this news yesterday. More has come out today, and I didn't cover it because I kind of psychologically shy away from this. It's so horrific. I'm not a big fan of horror movies either. I don't just like horror for horror's sake, and it's very upsetting, but we're going to cover it. Celebrity arrest could soar after horrified police discovered Jimmy Savile's secret lair, secret room at record shop. This is the guy who was the most trusted confidant of the royal family, including the Queen of England. And there is a reason all of this is coming out now. Undoubtedly, this has been known for decades. They are blackmailing the British royalty to fully sign all their power over to the Rothschild Rockefeller bank combine. So this is the true fall of the House of Windsor you're seeing right now with the blackmail. And you're also seeing the globalist move on Rupert Murdoch with the hacking scandal, threatening to arrest him if he doesn't basically submit to their takeover. So this is very serious information going on right now, and I'm going to be breaking that down as well. Also, I've been telling you about this for really about 17, 18 years on air, but I learned about it a few years into the broadcast. And that's plastic, chemical, BPA, may harm human fertility and cause cancer. And that's a new study, a big scientific study they're reporting on Fox News. That's today. The answer, of course, by White House-run MSNBC will be to come out and say that I say that they're making people gay with juice boxes. When what I actually said and what I actually covered was the fact that it also has that side effect. So we're going to be going over that report as well. Also, here's a CNN headline today. Your TV might be watching you. Oh, really? I told people this 16 years ago when I was visited by a Time Warner high level. I'm not going to say how high level. They can go back to the time to figure out who it was. But a high-level engineer in Time Warner in Central Texas. And when I broke the news that the televisions had hidden microphones and that some even had hidden cameras, I was given death threats. And I mean the type where they tell you what your girlfriend had for lunch. That kind, where they have, private goons following you around and things. They did not want this out at that time. Now it's time to roll it out to the slaves. So there's CNN, told you so again. And again, I'm not up here every day going, told you so, 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 about my ego, okay? In fact, this is scary to know that I know their program very well, better than almost anybody on air. I've spent my life trying to discover reality, not the fiction that's put out as the cover medium. And I know their program. Most of it they've put down in books and white papers and conferences they've had on record. It's just mind-boggling to know what their public plan is and to know how horrific it is, and now to see it moving ahead and to still be attacked by people that work for the establishment. You know, they've got a lot of operatives in every major news network and every major newspaper on record since media got going in this country, but it's intensified in the last few decades because previously people involved in psyops and propaganda in media thought they were doing it for liberty and freedom, and so there was some restraint involved. It was still immoral, the road to hell, paved by that type of thing. But now it's just pure cynical mercenaries who will do anything they're told. And that's the nature historically of tyranny, is that it just progresses by increment until the bottom falls out. But when you see the announcement of the Pentagon and the CIA and the White House to give tens of billions of dollars to every major media outlet and to have the Pentagon openly try to buy off even small bloggers to stir up infighting and disinfo, the fact that they're mainlining that announcement is an attempt so that when it comes out they're doing it, it isn't like, ooh, we caught the Army planning fake news. It's that, well, that's no big deal. It's to inoculate psychologically, because you see, they can't just have their 20 or so, I'm guesstimating, at the Washington Post that are naval intelligence and CIA and then Ford Foundation above intelligence agencies, foundation operatives. That way there's no government oversight. I mean, I know of about 20 known operatives at the Washington Post currently. Bob Woodward, naval intelligence. I mean, the list goes on and on. Bernstein, CIA. He doesn't probably like that announcement. The point is that things like that are going on. And then you've got CNN that's been the model since Ted Turner launched it with military satellites to broadcast the video feeds, is CIA, 100% up one side, down the other. MSNBC's like Foundation, Ford Foundation, Carnegie, Rockefeller Endowment, White House, State Department. I mean, different agencies get different media ops. It's like they divide, okay, you manage this one, you manage that one. Fox News is kind of like the Republicanoid, Heritage Foundation, management arm situation to kind of control the right wing. But now it's time to get rid of that, so they're figuring out that there's going to be no room at the top for them. This is a purely socialist communist system in its prime vein. So now this whole mainlining, this whole announcement of this happening is just so it can be, oh, hi, guys. Here's somebody from the White House, the Department of Defense, or the CIA, and all the women blush. Ooh, isn't he handsome? Yeah, I'm here to help you. We're here to work with the public, work with America. And here's Colonel Johnson. One morning, from the Army, it's just a main line that you're going to work right. This is the takeover. This is the full takeover. Because they don't want to just have their people that they then put on TV and the reporters that they magnify and the reporters that they give all the attention so that all the junior reporters mimic what the Operation Mockingbird operatives do. That doesn't work anymore. They need everybody at the Austin American-Statesman and everybody at the New York Times, and everybody at the LA Times, and everybody at the local TV station to pull as one. And to say, yeah, we got orders directly from the government, and they direct what you're going to do, and that's the way it works now. That's all being announced everywhere now. And the Pentagon is coming out as of last week and saying, the only group we don't control is the bloggers, people like Drudge Report. We're going to interface with them. We're going to become their sources so they trust us. And the people in the audience are just shaking their heads because they've done this in third world countries and taken over. They know this is a full takeover of America. That's why they look so depressed and freaked out. A few younger, gullible people that got up and asked questions are like, we don't lie anymore? And he goes, well, you'll see. Now, don't say we lie. So this is the full immersion in the true state-run, globalist-run, corporate-run, foundation-run media. This is you've exposed we're government-run? You bet. Now we're coming for you. And so if you think there's been infighting and buy-offs and everything else, get ready to see who's been paid off. I mean, you're going to see bloggers and alternative media people. Most of them have already been bought off or paid off, and some of that's even come out. to attack us. Now it's going to be you're going to see just the guns in the next year. It'll take them a year to get it organized. They're going to just swing around and start blasting us 24/7. And that's fine. We're prepared for that, and we're ready. We've already hit the barbed wire. We've already taken out the enemy operation machine gun nest. We're moving towards the final objective. So, I mean, we're ready for it because we got the guy upstairs in Providence. So fire away. If it's God's will, you'll destroy me. And it may be God's will that I blow up and burn in front of everybody. Fine. Maybe it's God's will that we move through the enemy and defeat them. Good. I don't pray for anything. I just say, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Period. Period. So I'm ready, but you need to understand, folks, this is it. And then they're coming after all the pension funds. It's already started, as I told you, public and private. They're coming after your children. They're coming with forced inoculations. They're coming after the language. They're gonna arrest you for saying, I want a Negro Modelo beer. They're going to arrest you if you say, I want a Schwartz during Oktoberfest. They're going to arrest you in Seattle if you say, I want a brown bag special at your business. I'm not joking. We actually have a newscast on that. They're going to arrest you if you call yourself a citizen. I'm not joking. That's coming. They're going to arrest you basically. This is it. This is the. I'm not joking, by the way. That's mainstream news. If you don't want your kids taught how to, have anal sex when they're 5 years old by the pedophile government, you're going to be arrested. You don't want to give them a shot, you're going to be arrested. You don't want to turn your guns in, you're going to be arrested. So that's all coming up when we come back. And then Big Benghazi Gate, we told you it was a gun-running operation.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fire.
Welcome back. I am your host, Alex Jones. So let's go ahead and plunge into the geopolitical news. And then in the next segment, I'll get into the political correctness that is designed to basically paralyze everyone intellectually. And then attached to that psychological phobia to upset someone, a political agenda of good, support socialism, turn your guns in, get rid of your family, live in a coffin-size apartment, accept Agenda 21, prove that you are part of the cult. We're being nudged, henpecked into submitting to the globalists, who are a bunch of murdering robber barons with giant private armies above the law that run giant child kidnapping and sex slave rings, telling us, oh, look, you said you have a brown bag special. That's meant to be racist. And people go, what, you're joking? And they go, no, I'm not racist. That teapot looks like Hitler. We're going to get to that. But first, look at this article. This is out of the London Telegraph, a year after we told you. We told you this within a week, and we told you this in the first month, and we have all the articles we wrote and all the guests we had on. CIA running arms smuggling team in Benghazi when consulate was attacked. That's right. And they wanted to get rid of the substation safe house that had a huge warehouse behind it full of heat-seeking missiles and heavy and medium arms. Folks, this came out day one. Just like they blew up the 23 Navy SEALs. And then some of them lived on the ground and had contractors kill them to get rid of the witnesses that there was no bin Laden raid. It was all fake. There was a raid there, but it wasn't who they said. And there was no body on the ship, and that's now come out. There was no burial, and they've classified, even from above top secret in the Pentagon, anyone being able to see those reports. You can't see the report of the downed SEALs. You can't see the report of the bin Laden because there is no report. It's fake, ladies and gentlemen. And the families are now coming out and saying that, and they can't kill all of them. Oh, the CIA had been subjecting operatives to monthly polygraph tests in an attempt to suppress details of a U.S. arms smuggling operation in Benghazi that was ongoing when its ambassador was killed by a mob in the city last year. Yeah, that was the hired security for Benghazi. That was the main command base in the year-plus war to overtake Gaddafi using al-Qaeda. Up to 35 CIA operatives were working in the city during the attack last September on U.S. consulate that resulted in the death of Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 other Americans. Well, yeah, they had checkpoints down the street trying to catch the people that got away. They didn't want any witnesses getting away. They were directing the al-Qaeda forces to kill everyone so there would be no witnesses as to who gave them the heat-seeking missiles. Because they're going to let al-Qaeda shoot down aircraft all over the Western world And they're going to set up checkpoints, and they're going to take our rights. And it won't matter. When I get on the air, if I'm even around at that time, and say our government gave them the heat seekers, they will call me a traitor and say, why do you support al-Qaeda? And I'll go, no, our government gave it. Our government did it. Shut up, traitor. What are you inside job people talking about? Well, we're talking about criminal elements in our own government that are getting power out of this. This is elementary. Trillions in no-bid weapons contracts, taking all of our rights, making it national security where the trillions in missing Pentagon funds are, able to have rendition aircraft that fly people out for torture and drugs back in that have crashed before and been in Reuters. This is a bunch of hardcore killers above the law, run by private banks and foundations that are fundamentally anti-human and say that they are eugenicists that want to basically enslave humanity. I've got articles on that from DARPA. DARPA to genetically engineer humans by adding 47th chromosome, and they're going to roll them out on the streets. And get this, you're racist if you say it's bad to do. By the way, you know how they have had human clones for more than 20 years on record? Oh, yeah. They just don't call them humans because they're less than 1% altered with animal or insect or plant DNA. And then they say they kill them before the embryos grow to full term in the cow uteruses. You may have heard lately, oh, they're going to be able to grow human organs in cow uteruses. I read in the BBC 16 years ago about that. And they were talking about it going on a decade before, so 26 years. I mean, I read 15 years ago about South Korea and Hong Kong and other areas of Asia, in Hong Kong and then in China, but also in South Korea, where you can buy glow-in-the-dark monkeys that are part jellyfish. We ought to buy one just to show everybody. They cost about 20 grand last time I checked. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a science fiction movie. It's 2013. Many of the technologies developed by DARPA and the globalists using Western ingenuity have developed technologies, they say themselves, 30 to 50 years advanced than what the public knows in the national security complex. 26 years ago, humanoids were being grown in the uteruses of cows. The guys just searched the glow-in-the-dark part jellyfish monkeys. We'll put those on screen for viewers. There they are. That's the Sunday Mercury newspaper. And there is the glow-in-the-dark monkey. Last time I checked, they're coming out with monkeys with gills that can live in a fish tank. There's glow-in-the-dark rats and glow-in-the-dark rabbits. And the issue here is, ladies and gentlemen, this is old technology. This was in the late 1990s being sold like something out of Blade Runner on the streets in Asia. And every time I talk about it, we see comments on InfoWars and on YouTube saying I'm a liar. Look, I'm not a liar, okay? And you need to understand, folks, that they've already developed bioweapons and released the way that it can be designed by an average-level biochemist for about $100,000. The FBI even complained about this a few years ago, and all over the world, universities in the U.S., Europe, and Australia released different mousepox calculations and basically recipes to make a human mousepox that kills 98% of humans. And they put out how to make it. And when people become decadent and become evil, they start getting into nihilism and being destroyed. Was it Nero that finally committed suicide? Because he'd already purged his family and burned down part of the city for fun and just went. The last thing he could do to be destructive was to kill himself. And I wish the globalists would just skip directly, past the whole monopoly board and go right to killing themselves instead of everybody else along with them. Because they say they're trying to save the earth while they want to put us in coffin apartments and totally control us and shoot us up with stuff. The truth is they're a bunch of demons who'd like to hurt creation. Okay, I said I'll get into all that and first the other geopolitical news, but just briefly here, ladies and gentlemen, we carry the very best products at InfoWarsStore.com, whether they be the inner food, totally organic, Whole Food Systems at the lowest prices, whether it be eFoods Direct via InfoWarsStore.com, whether it be all the Patriot apparel on the Second Amendment. I mean, you name it, just really great shirts, over 100 designs, women's apparel, InfoWars bags, luggage, coffee cups, umbrellas, you name it. Be a walking billboard for liberty out there, folks, and support the transmission. New World Order playing cards, Infowars.com, custom skateboards from Alien Workshop. I mean, it's just all there. The Obama Joker shirts are back. The Great Brainwash shirt is back. Infowars.com, Save the Constitution bumper sticker. That's our best-selling bumper sticker. It's all available at InfoWarsStore.com. And remember, when you buy from us, the good guys, you get high-quality products at the lowest prices we can offer them to you. Like so many times we have to sign agreements that, you know, it's the lowest advertised allowable price. And then we throw in free goodies on top of that. But when I can, like with ProPure, the lowest price out there. We already have the lowest price, then 10% off with promo code WATER. Whether you go to InfoWarsStore.com or whether you call 888-253-3139. That's 888-253-3139. And regardless, folks, when you go to the site, look at the side-by-side comparison of ProPure and its leading competitors. It just blows them away in every category. Stainless steel, the best gravity-fed filters out there. 10% off, promo code WATER, InfoWarsStore.com, or again, call 888-253-3139. And we've got also on the InfoWarsStore.com the best pure brown seaweed from the Southern Hemisphere, so it doesn't have all the toxic stuff the Northern Hemisphere does. And you can get that. The Modify line just supercharges your immune system, your thyroid, you name it, just amazing energy. The best brown seaweed out there, concentrate at InfoWarsStore.com. Okay. Let me get in now to political correctness. You remember last week, I took a photo of one of my French bulldogs, Captain, who is white and brown and gray. They call it blue. And Captain is a 5-year-old French bulldog, and he likes everybody. I promise he's not a racist, but we're thinking about, just to prove that we're not racist, we're thinking about having him shaved, because he does have some black fur on his front lip that makes him look a little bit like Hitler, folks. And my wife first pointed out a few years ago that he looks like Hitler. Even in the eyes, he is very Hitler-like, not in his behavior, very sweet and very loving, and likes everybody. But that's only on the surface. We all know that, like the teapot that JCPenney banned earlier this year that looked nothing like Hitler, but the handle looked like the hair, I guess, in a round handle for the top looked like a mustache. Looks nothing like it, of course. And I guess a bronze bell looks like Hitler, too. So that's been banned and destroyed. And they've apologized, by the way, for, be like if you saw a cloud that looked like an elephant or a giraffe, we know that's racist, too. So I apologized last week for Hitler dog on air. Of course, I was not being totally sarcastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we later found news articles where people had pointed out that their neighbor's cat looked like Hitler and were disturbed because it happened to have a black spot on its head that looked like Hitler's hair and happened to have some black fur. And so should there be a nationwide move to euthanize? I mean, should I euthanize Captain? Should people euthanize? Maybe a white cat is racist. Get rid of them. I mean, why stop there? Because, listen, I'm not joking last week saying that's where political correctness went, because they have to get you totally obsessed with the fact that you've been bad. They have to get you obsessed with the fact that using the word homosexual is against gay people, so you get arrested in England. I had the BBC reporter on, Robin Page, who was, by the way, kind of a liberal, but gave a speech saying rural communities deserve the same rights as homosexuals and Muslims. He was arrested. And they have people in cafes listening for racism. But when the government kills 1 million Iraqis, that's not racist. Or when Margaret Sanger says we got to kill the blacks, that's why we have abortion, that's not racist. Real racism, when I heard a local talk show host yesterday say it's time to sterilize all the poor people, including the minorities especially. That's all liberal. Oh, you're liberal. So you're worried about a teapot and a French bulldog, but you wanted blacks are, bad gene pools? Because I have the state board. When Susanna Hupp, a few years ago, the state rep, this is my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, the actual clip from the state of Texas TV. I mean, and they have the head of the psychiatry board on, and they say blacks have bad gene pools. That's why we have them. Was like more than 80% of blacks in foster care are on psychotropics, on average 7. On average, everybody at 67% or about 2/3. And they said these people, if you're poor, you come from bad gene pools, and so we have to drug you. No judge, no jury, no nothing. Antipsychotics for 3-year-olds that brain damage them because, blacks have bad gene pools. So if you say blacks don't have good genes, well, that's, well, that's fine. You want to kill them? Oh, well, that's reasonable. But if it's a teapot, whoa, it looks like Hitler. They are creating mass mental illness in the public. So see, I'm not really joking about my dog being Hitler. Because if they can convince people he's Hitler, he is Hitler, and he'll have to be burned at the stake. Maybe he's a witch, have a witch burning. We'll tie rocks to him and throw him into the water, and then if he drowns, we can bury him a Christian burial because he's a non-Hitler. But if he is a Hitler, he'll be able to tread water, and then he's got to be burned at the stake. And I'm being sarcastic, folks. They'll know I'm being sarcastic, but they'll probably have Rachel Maddow come out and say that I want to kill my dog or something. That's what they do, even when I say it's satire. Now, this is not satire. City of Seattle tells employees they'll be fired if they use the word brown baggot. So people say, I'm not, I don't, all the time. Last week I asked Kurt, I said, hey, I'm going to buy the writers lunch. You guys have done a great job. And he goes, oh, man, my wife made me some great stuff. I'm brown bagging it. Yeah, I got some great ribs left over from last night. And, that's racist, too, because, black people like ribs. By the way, whenever I talk about Obama and being Jim Jones, his followers wanting to drink the Kool-Aid, they say, oh, black people drink Kool-Aid. Really, I thought everybody drank Kool-Aid. See, everything, you can't talk. If a high school wants to have a joke day making fun of country people, that's what it's really about, is making fun of rednecks. That's what the day was. The feds found out in Arizona and are moving to sue everybody and ban it, saying girls can't wear Daisy Duke pants and put fake teeth in, which really it's making fun of people from the country. That's really the only acceptable thing is to be anti-rural white. So in a way, it really is a prejudice. And it's kind of fun, too, though, because I'm kind of a redneck, so I can make fun of it. I'm allowed to. But the point is that it's clearly a very popular thing. It's like dressing up like a caveman. Well, thank God for the caveman. But the point is that that's what this is all about. And so it's about getting you obsessed with everything that's not real so that you ignore all the real foreign bank stealing $85 billion a month of taxpayer money, General Motors being shipped overseas, our power plants being shut down. That's the globalists discriminating against us all. But see, as long as they can divide and conquer us, everything's okay. So, but it gets worse. You can't say the word citizen because you're not allowed to. That might hurt people that aren't citizens. Just like in San Francisco and Texas. Or was it in Dallas, too, it happened a few years ago. You're not allowed, it was Hispanic students at one school wearing, one of them, it started when he wore an American flag shirt, just American apparel. American flags, and they said you can't wear that. And then the illegals all wore their Mexican flag shirts. And then the school suspended 6 Hispanic youth, American citizens in San Francisco, because they said the American flag is hurtful. So see, you don't say citizen, you don't have the American flag, and you don't have teapots because that's Hitler, and my dog's Hitler, and you don't say the word homosexual, and you can't have a rebel flag, and you can't, even have an orange General Lee card because that means you're racist, and just on and 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 on. But if banks want to rape you and take your pension funds, that's A-okay. So without further ado, here is the local Seattle TV station, ladies and gentlemen, where you do not say citizen or the words brown bagging it. I didn't know that. See, now I'm aware of this. When I said, hey, Kurt, I walked in, I said, I'm going to buy the writers lunch. And he said, well, you can get them lunch, because I do that, every once a week for some department. I like to get people lunch. It's what I do, Texas hospitality, which is racism as well. And, again, I was at Barton Springs a few months ago, and it was 2 Hispanic guys and a white guy. And one of the Hispanic guys goes, let's go eat at that such and such Chinese food place. Hey, let's go. I could tell they were stoned. And they're all having fun in the pool. Hey, let's go get that Chinese up at such and such. And the The one white guy and the other Hispanic, politically correct, they go, don't say Chinese. They were, just saying Chinese food. I guess if I say, let's get Mexican food. Oh, it's racist. I mean, let's get, I guess if they had like an Irish pub, let's get Irish food. Oh, you're against, oh my gosh, oh, you made a McWiener joke. See, but we're putting BPA on all the kids' juice boxes that brain damages them and gives them cancer. They're raping their brains. Well, that's okay. Let's go ahead and go to now the Sovietization of America in Seattle. Here it is. Brown bag, folks, is racist. Here it is.
As people who work in city government, we represent all the residents of Seattle.
That is part of the memo to City Hall that spells it all out. A recommendation to no longer use the terms citizen or brown bag.
That's right.
The Office for Civil Rights says Seattle serves all residents, whether they're citizens or not. Some like it and some don't.
I think it's ridiculous.
In the sense that citizenship means, like, legal matters. It might not account for everybody.
And while city leaders publicize brown bag lunch meetings all the time, the term does have a sordid history.
It used to be a way that people could judge the skin color.
But do you find it offensive?
No, not at all.
I personally don't.
They've been calling that brown bags for years.
And those responses made us think, what else might governments try to ban? Brown bags come from the supermarket near the black olives, the white onions, and the yellow mustard.
Dreaming of a white Christmas.
Uh-oh, it's racist.
We all want a white Christmas, and a lot of us tie yellow ribbons around that old oak tree.
That's racist.
While UW students spend years walking through Red Square. But the city of Seattle is not alone. State lawmakers just voted to remove all gender-specific words in official records. Freshmen are now first years. Journeymen are journey level, and penmanship handwriting.
Come on, we all know what it means.
To offend or not to offend?
I mean, I think that's carrying it to the point of ridiculous.
That's the point.
Turns out it's a really big question.
So what do you say instead of brown bagging it at the office? Well, according to that memo floating around Seattle, try out sack lunch, or how about lunch and learn? Luke Ducey, Como 4 News.
Well, wait a minute. That's anti-German because the Germans sacked Rome. And they even called some of the tribes, the nickname the Romans had them was sackers. Whoa! I'm part German. I want that banned. Again, and the media should have absolutely decried it. Como did an okay job. Usually the media would be like, this is good. Arrest everyone. But that's where this is all going, ladies and gentlemen. That's the plan. Meanwhile, when we come back, before I get into all the geopolitical news that I've mentioned, the huge Benghazi news and more, this went up on Infowars.com yesterday, WISN-TV. Armed agents raid animal shelter for baby deer and then kill it. And they come with a SWAT team, put everybody in an area holding them, take the deer, kill it, and then put fines on the animal shelter that took care of a fawn. And again, I've had friends and family that, take care of a fawn when the mama gets hit and the fawn sits there, you take it in, feed it. The point is that the crime was taking care of something. They want to henpeck regular, hardworking, good people. It's about teaching you you're bad. It's about teaching your kids when you're in D.C. They run over and say, what are you doing, young man, to a 7-year-old? Taking pictures of the White House. Give me your ID. And the families get upset, and the Secret Service in police uniforms get in their face. I've seen this. I've videotaped it. We've put it out. And they do it to us, and it's let you, and you go, this isn't America. And they just look at you just going, you bet it isn't, boy. Just like, you bet, you scum. And that's why so many Secret Service have been quitting. Like Bongino, we ought to get him back on, running for Senate. Or is it governor? I forget. Because this is evil, folks. This is authoritarianism, and they want you to know this. I mean, now cops will say, I'm going to search your car. You're like, you don't have a right. And they'll just taser you on the spot. And then they'll back those people up, or they'll do proctology exams on 2 women, 4 orifices, 1 glove. Totally criminal. I mean, doing the proctology exam is rape, but it's like you're an animal. And the head of the state police said he liked it until they lost, started losing court cases. That the state police in Texas want to pull your wife over and ram their hands inside their body looking for drugs the government shipped in. The government runs Al-Qaeda. They run it all. But when we come back, they come and murder the baby deer to save it. This is the mental illness of government. Second hour is coming up, and I will get into the latest on Snowden, the latest on foster care system, traps children in vicious cycle of sex abuse by design. That's an article by Leanne McAdoo up on Infowars.com. We're going to tie that in with celebrity arrest could soar after horrified police discover Jimmy Savelle's secret lair at record shop. Now, I'm not going to play this whole newscast. It's up on Infowars.com. But they come out there, gripe at him with police, herd them all in for hours, search the whole place, take the deer, give them fines, kill the baby deer. And this is a pattern everywhere where they nickel and dime and obsess on clearly good people. Because we're the food. They don't mess with real criminals. CPS, when I see it, doesn't take kids. You hear it all the time where the kid dies in their crib and weighed 1/3 what they should and had flies all over them. They don't want that kid. They want the healthy kid. That's why they have a 50% turnover on average in CPS nationwide. Look it up. Because the people get in for the right reasons to find out, and this is sick. And it's the same thing with baby deer. It's all about getting in your life. And they know normal, good, hardworking people will just bend over to whatever they want to do. This is a criminal government. It's called a tyranny. It's happened before. And it's converting whatever was left right now. The bottom fell out, folks. I see this kind of stuff all the time. We're going to come arrest you if you have your rabbit again at an event. We're going to come, fine you. We're going to pull out badges at your event. We're going to try to get your magic shows canceled. They don't do that for drug dealers because they're getting part of the money. They don't do that to pedophiles because they're perverts. Let's go to this clip where they kill the baby deer to save it. And even the news didn't say that. It's like armed agents raid animal shelter for baby deer and then kill it should be the headline. Here it is.
2 weeks ago, Ray Schulze was working in the barn at the Society of St. Francis on the Kenosha-Illinois border when a swarm of squad cars arrived, bearing a search warrant.
9 DNR agents and 4 deputy sheriffs, and they were all armed to the teeth.
The focus of their search, a baby fawn, brought here by an Illinois family worried she'd been abandoned by her mother.
When it made a little noise, it sounded like it was laughing.
Schulze deals mostly with dogs and cats. He videotaped the fawn they named Giggles during the 2 weeks she was here. The DNR began investigating after 2 anonymous calls reporting a baby deer at the no-kill shelter. The warden drafted an affidavit for the search warrant, complete with aerial photos, in which he describes getting himself into a position where he was able to see the fawn going in and out of the barn. Agents told staff they came to seize the deer because Wisconsin law forbids the possession of wildlife.
I said, the deer is scheduled to go to the wildlife reserve the next day.
A wildlife reserve in Illinois, which allows the rehabilitation of deer. Schulze says agents corralled workers near the picnic area, then set out in search of the fawn.
I was thinking in my mind, well, yeah, they're going to take the deer and take it to a wildlife shelter. And then here they come carrying the baby deer over their shoulder like a bag she was in a body bag. I said, why did you do that? He said, well, it's our policy.
All right, that's
and I
enough.
said, well, that's one
hell of a policy. Now, notice good tattletales saw them on YouTube at a big animal shelter of good, loving volunteers. A really nice facility if you're looking at it on video of your radio listener describing it for you. And they came, I was reading the newspaper, 8 SWAT vehicles. They came with guys in SWAT uniforms for a known animal shelter of nice people. Just like they do for Amish or anybody. It's all part of their mental illness, all part of their dress up. And the better you are, the more they hate you. And then they kill the deer in front of everybody. It goes on and on. And, have the dead body in front of everybody. This is what they do, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they do. And good little tattletales did it. And the SWAT team came. This is the demonic America. I don't watch the Family Guy. But before I get into the news, I think I'll play this clip. Darren McBreen saw it, and we found a clip of it online. It's shot off TV, so it's not the best audio. I was making the joke yesterday, and I guess this aired last night. I was making the joke yesterday that it's torture to listen to NPR, and that they admit they're trying to hypnotize you. And Joseph Farah from World Net Daily was on talking about the NSA director talking in that same, hi, let me just slip this knife between your ribs. We don't spy on anybody. Hey, you admitted you lied last week to Congress. No, I didn't. And I'll narrate it, but it's a Family Guy clip. It's only 22 seconds long, where the NPR guy's talking and the dog freaks out and is like clawing out of the door till its paws become bloody. So I'm calling this NPR animal abuse. Well, they see us as animals, so I guess they're abusing us all. But let's go ahead and go to the Rockefeller Petroleum Radio, NPR, National Petroleum Radio, which poses as liberal. James Dillingpole's coming on about that later. 97% of the fake greenie groups are funded by big oil. Oh, yeah, they run the whole New World Order. We'll explain that in the next hour. But right now, let's go to this clip.
Okay, Barney, I'm going to work now, but I'm going to leave NPR on for you.
Good day to you, and welcome to All Things Considered, a show where we talk very softly and right into the mic. Do you hear that? I'm whispering right in your ear. I'm right in your ear. Buzz, 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 buzz. Won't you please do your part to help?
Oh, my goodness. Unbelievable. By the way, if you just joined us, I'm still in the aftershock before I get into all the Benghazi news and the rest of it, and the 47th chromosome that DARPA is going to bequeath to all of us. But before I get to all of that, you know, I played a clip out of Wisconsin on the Illinois border of a well-known, established, large animal shelter. And somebody brought him a baby deer that the mother had been run over, a fawn, and they put a clip of it on YouTube, how cute it was, so they SWAT teamed him. And I see this, the more innocent, like if you have a garden in your yard, there's a regulation, they'll send a SWAT team, and if you even ask a question, they'll taser you now. I mean, it's all part of mental illness. These little kids dressed up in all these outfits, and it says, you know, all these agencies show up in 8 SWAT trucks, and then they hold everybody at gunpoint while they search the place and act like it's, and they go kill the baby deer and put it in a body bag and then give them fines. And they go, it's our policy, okay. While the government literally is involved in every crime under the sun, there's just these giant bureaucracies of minders. And I've told the story many times. We've got an old family ranch in East Texas, and when I was a kid, maybe, you know, every couple of years, the game warden would drive up opening morning and say hi to you, and maybe have a cup of coffee and then drive on to the next place or whatever. But still, it was just, you know, you shouldn't be looking at them. If they see you on the side of the road killing somebody's deer or something, then that's an issue. But, you know, it's that first contact. Now you can be camping, and they show up in like SWAT outfits and jump out and run over to you and threaten you and then run into your cookhouse without a warrant and run around in circles, and then you find out they're doing it to everybody. And it's just the country's going to fall, okay? So the good news is, all you government toadies, you're not going to have any future. So just take your shots, eat your GMO, drink your fluoride. I mean, I was out with Shane Steiner about a month ago with his kids and my kids. We were letting them wakeboard and tube and stuff on Lake Austin. And we were only out there about 3 hours, and we drive back. It was the most unbusy day, because I took off like a Thursday, I've ever seen since I was a kid going out there. Because even when I didn't live here, my grandparents were here, we'd come and rent a boat and go out there. And there was no boats, but maybe like 5, 6 boats. And I saw every one of them pulled over, kayaks pulled over. And they started pulling up next to us. I got my camera out, and they saw who I was, and they went, oh, started waving and drove off. But these guys drove up, bugging their eyes out, just like, and I'm just like, right back at them. I mean, this country is gone. You people ought to repent. You're a joke. What a joke. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have a news report. Obama is disappearing Benghazi survivors and changing their names. We're going to be getting to that clip coming up here in just a few minutes. Thank you for joining us. We're now into the second hour. I've told my writers, not to brag, but just to show the viewers and readers and listeners that we don't make stuff up. 1 week after Benghazi, I had Wayne Madsen on, and about 2 weeks after, I had Colonel Schaefer on, and just a host of guests and our own analysis from people that have been to Libya. In the case of Madsen, while it was happening, saying that it was an arms deal gone bad, and there was basically a stand-down order for more than 6 hours made so everyone could be killed. And Colonel Schaefer basically sounded like he agreed with my statement, elaborating on what he'd said, and then he got a bunch of heat over it, and so he backed off a bit. But I could see he's saying his interpretation was that he didn't know Obama ordered the hit, just that there had been a stand down and then they were coming to kill him. And we know the people that came to kill them were the head of Benghazi security. I mean, that's admitted too. So you've got all the pieces here. And now you read the London Telegraph, the Associated Press, you name it today. CIA running arms smuggling team in Benghazi when consulate was attacked. 35 CIA operatives are being told to keep quiet, but it's been leaked to the London Telegraph that the television network said that a CIA team was working in an annex. We told you that. It was a warehouse complex near the consulate on a project to supply missiles. What have I been telling you since this happened? When did Benghazi happen exactly? Yeah, so it's not like a year yet. I say like a year or whatever. It hadn't been a year yet. So it seems like a million years. It's like time's going fast, but it's also going slow. We've been talking about Benghazi so long. So I've been telling you for 9 months or 10 months that this was going on, and now it's all over Fox News as we speak. It's all over everywhere. So, how many times have you heard this here and heard this first and heard this over and 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 over again? You've heard this, that they were supplying missiles from Libyan armories to Syrian rebels and wanted it covered up. And they sent the security force. Look, here's what we know. They ordered to stand down for more than 6 hours. They lied and said there was no surveillance of it when there was 2 Predator drones and a C-130. They lied and said they couldn't get them help for many hours. The truth was they had people 30 minutes away. The truth is they had large contingencies of commandos, CIA, and others. Thousands of U.S. personnel in the city of Benghazi, hundreds of them combat ready. And they were ordered to stand down. The security services knew where everyone was going and were tracking their cell phones and even stopped vehicles that were fleeing. Do people forget this? And we know that there were missiles there, heat-seeking missiles and other high-tech weapons in a complex behind the safe house. We know that the one of the top ministers, the foreign minister of Turkey, was there at the meeting hours before it happens. So they're at a safe house by a bunch of warehouses. The Turkish ambassador shows up. He's with the U.S. ambassador to Libya, Ambassador Chris Stevens. Here comes hundreds of the security service with inside knowledge of how the State Department, CIA, Navy SEAL security is working. They attack the facility. 2 Navy SEALs from down the road refuse to follow stand-down orders, run down and attack them from behind. So it goes from an hour operation to a 6+ hour operation, giving everybody time in CENTCOM to sit there on the aircraft carriers and at the NATO bases on the mainland in Italy to watch everyone die. Reportedly, they watched more than 5 hours of them dying. Because those drones can loiter for more than 12 hours. They're just sitting there, bzzz, flying in circles, watching it all in high def. And that's why this is such a scandal, because there were situation rooms at the Pentagon, situation rooms in NATO, situation rooms everywhere, watching this go on for hour after hour after hour after hour after hour, with just dozens and dozens and dozens. I mean, some say hundreds of the combatants being killed, getting madder and madder as they're run in trying to kill them. Only 6 security people inside fighting them off. And so they get mad and bring in anti-aircraft guns and point them down at the ground and start shooting to kill everybody inside. And they were reportedly cursing Obama and stuff while they did it because they'd been sent in to kill him, and then it wasn't a piece of cake like they thought. And that's what happened. And just like they killed the Navy SEALs that did the fake bin Laden raid, now their families are coming out saying they killed them. I told you that over a year ago, folks, directly from Navy SEAL. Active duty, whole 9 yards, known him since he was in high school. My dad's known him since he was in high school. I've known him since he was in college. But the whole point is that I know a Navy SEAL who's friends with people in SEAL Team 6, his best friends in SEAL Team 6, and they all say there was a bomb on that helicopter. And they said, this isn't a mission. We're not being given a mission. Just get on the helicopter and don't ask questions. They don't even give them a good story. So they all get on the helicopter, overloaded, fly out to save Rangers, made up story. It blows up, they crash. There's people waiting right where it crashes to shoot them with 50 caliber rifles. And now all that's been classified. The families want to know they're told it's classified. But the media admits it was all a lie. There was no Al-Qaeda. There weren't insurgents. And they're still like, what happened? They killed your family. That's what happened. And now the families are telling you over a year after I told you. When did Benghazi happen? It happened like 10 months ago. When did the SEAL helicopter blow up a few months after the fake bin Laden raid? Because they were talking. And it's also come out in mainstream news that no one saw bin Laden thrown in the water. There was no ceremony. And they've court-martialed like 36 last time I checked of people that were speaking up. It's like a record number of court-martials on a ship kicking them out because they were all talking. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this whole deal is cut and dry. So, do we know Obama ordered it to be a hit? We know their security forces, run by the CIA, go over and attack a facility, and a mile away are a bunch of CIA, Navy SEALs, Delta Force types, by the hundreds, and none of them are allowed to go over and defend them. They stand down while watching everybody get killed, and now the Pentagon gets it. They're going, wait, we kill Navy SEALs, we kill CIA commandos, we kill them, we kill the ambassador just to cover something up so Al-Qaeda can be given missiles. None of us are safe. Boy, you just won the big prize. You put 2 and 2 together. I mean, there is no debate that elements of the federal government ordered them to be killed and ordered to stand down. Do we know exactly who gave the order? I don't know. But Obama has been lying about it from the start. So I told you the SEAL families and the SEALs know they killed those SEAls. That's now Fox News. Michael Savage finally pushed it out and got it broke. We've been talking to the families. When I talked to SEALs and their families, they were scared. They said, look, we'll all be killed if we talk. They've told the SEALs, we're not just going to kill you. We're going to kill your family. Do you understand that? And by the way, I've had the former Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman on and other admirals all saying they were there when LBJ said, I want that ship going to the bottom on the USS Liberty. And then I've interviewed the officers of the USS Liberty. It's on record. It's archived. There's over 30 plus of the interviews or more, probably 50, I don't know, where they were on that ship and they were told, well, you survived, you're getting the Congressional Medal of Honor, but if you ever talk, you won't just be court-martialed, you're going to be killed. This is the highest national security. And they've called the Navy SEALs in and said, there's a lot of talk. You talk about this, you're dead, and your families are dead. Well, the families are speaking out. They're like, go ahead and kill us then. We're going to speak out. And they may start killing their families. I mean, you know, they'll have minivans full of, you know, Navy SEALs families and blow them up. Maybe they can burn them at the stake publicly. And liberals are all get around and dance around in circles around it. I mean, I don't know, man. That's how dishonorable this is. That's how sick this is. That's how out of control all of this is. And it's only going to get worse and worse and worse because we interviewed a Hitler Youth a few years ago. And we're going to put it in the film. He died last year, about a year after we interviewed him. And he said it was the godlessness. Germany became godless and said, oh, there is no God. And as soon as they said that and there was no standards, well, why not do everything? Why not? And you'll learn in business and life, a lot of the public's really screwed up now. More and more. It's spreading everywhere. Businesses talk about this, especially in the Western decadent world. Now, there's offshoring for a lot of reasons, but one of the big ones is the average Westerner has become so lazy and so mentally ill and so weird that they could have a chance to make $100,000 by doing a little bit of hard work. They'd rather imagine they're going to cheat you and do great, even though it destroys them. And everybody's marveling at this. You're seeing it because they're godless. And I've learned that people that say they're an atheist, people that say they're proud, on average, and that laugh at you because you believe in God, they are the people that are just scum. I mean, there is no way to describe it. They have no pillars. They have no mooring. They aren't human. They think you're dumb, and they think they know everything, and it's like a disease of, like, morons. And I know there's some atheists who might be nice people out there and folks who are agnostics say, hey, I don't know, and I don't like organized religion. Well, I certainly don't like it either. But I just keep noticing that the people that are, and you know, like talking to Von Campy, the Hitler Youth, he said it was the atheists. And he said they weren't really atheists, they were devils. And that's really what it is. People say, well, why are they doing this? Because they like to do it. The journey is the destination. And so I told you so. It was about missiles in the warehouse from our sources. And a year plus later, we're confirmed right yet again. CNN's now announcing your TV is watching you, by the way. Alex Jones here, back live. We're going to have the $100,000 winner of the Paul Revere contest pop in briefly, who made the purge, in the next segment. Then I'll get into a foster care system revealed as a conduit to the giant pedophile network that runs the planet. And that's now coming out in the Daily Mirror, you name it. So we're going to be breaking that down. Yeah, they act like monsters. They're building a monstrous system. They are monsters. It's a legion of doom, a group of scum who have different vices, but hurting innocence seems to be what binds them all together. The tie that binds. And this is our journey into evil right now. Oh, yeah, your TV watches you, CNN reports. Oh, yeah, we're listening to everything you do. Oh, yeah, we're putting poison in your vaccines. Yeah, we're going to take your kids away from you. Yeah, we gave missiles to Al-Qaeda. Yeah, but we're... Oh, by the way, it's in the news today that contracts are being given to Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Syria. And the headline is, the Pentagon can't help it, but they can sure take your kid away from you and make them cry and teach them that men in uniforms can touch them. Because that's their religion, and they can do it in front of you, and you'll put up with it because you want to be enslaved, and you aren't going to be. Don't you worry your little head for just one little second. Pentagon has awarded contracts to Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. Steve Watson, he links through to a Bloomberg article. What did Karzai say a few months ago? He said, the West runs Al-Qaeda, and they're trying to kill me, and they want to keep a war going so they can control the opium. I don't just believe Karzai. I happen to know that's true. But if you tell a cop you don't want them to search your car to look for heroin, they'll break your jaw. In fact, there's a lawsuit out in California where a Ukrainian legal immigrant was driving a truck and didn't understand the officer when he was saying sign the digital ticket. So they drug him out and bashed his head in the ground and almost killed him. And I think that's fine. I think the man should have been executed. And the police officer should have bathed in his blood as a sacrament to God government. Truck driver nearly beaten to death. There's the headline. Of course, I'm being sarcastic about how the government's God, but you're going to find out it's God, folks. Let's move right along now from Al-Qaeda being awarded contracts. Small-town police are tooling up with elite military hardware, from armored vehicles to machine guns and helicopters. That's being reported on. The line between police and troops is now a blur. And even the establishment publications like Wall Street Journal say, we're in deep trouble. Oh, you figured that out? Think you figured that out yet? Don't worry, those carrying it out are going to be destroyed as well by themselves. Here's another one. A threat to U.S. embassies appears, Al-Qaeda-linked lawmaker says. And you know, I would guess this is just going to be a new political distraction from Benghazi, and they probably want to kill a few people that are at embassies they haven't been able to kill yet that are witnesses, so Al-Qaeda will take care of that. They always take care of everything. Want to end the American Republic and enslave everybody? We'll just say Al-Qaeda did something. You know? Why do they got to search your house without a warrant? Well, because you were shopping, you know, doesn't matter. You're not even a Muslim. You're Italian-Americans. You're in Florida. You're shopping for pressure cookers. You're going to get a SWAT team raid. Save a baby deer. Legally and lawfully. Going to get a SWAT team raid. They're going to kill it in front of you. That happened in Wisconsin. We aired it last hour. It's just all part of... The government wants to be insane. In Seattle, they've banned the word brown bag. It's racist. And the word citizen. I'm not kidding. That's up on Infowars.com right now. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's just going to get worse. Meanwhile, I wanted to get to this article, but we'll do it after we talk to our next guest here. But let me just show you a little stack of these bad boys right now. Here's one. DARPA to genetically engineer humans by adding a 47th chromosome, Time magazine reports. And the truth is they're already messing with our DNA and admit that with the GMO foods. And out of the mutations, it'll kill most of us. They want to find out how they get the Uber mention or the Superman out of that. Continuing here, FBI taps hacker tactics to spy on suspects. Plant stuff on your computer. Okay. And then here's CNN. Your TV might be watching you. And it goes on to say, with cameras, microphones, and definitely with the digital info, it's compiling everything about you and selling the data. I told you that 15 years ago. I don't know, 1997 is when I met with the first Time Warner engineer. By the way, never heard from him again after that happened. I just got death threats. And I told you all about it then. I guess breaking news and being right's bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, it's in Fox News that BPA is giving people cancer, sterilizing them, and making people gay. But instead of getting an apology from everybody, I'll be attacked more.
We're on the march. Jones.
My friends, everybody in their gut knows it. Everybody can see it intellectually. Even the most dull out there know that we're going into a metastasizing, multifaceted, multivariate, interwoven, interlocked bloom of corruption and control freaks playing God and wanting to run our lives because they crave it. And good people never want to run people's lives. They're confident, they're happy, they have lots of friends, they have lots of hobbies and ideas, and life is fulfilling. And so we don't seek to dominate others. We enjoy being honorable. We enjoy being constructive. We enjoy standing up, though, for ourselves when it is an immediate threat. But if it's incremental and if it's sold like it's a societal move, we tend to comply. Now, resistance and noncompliance is not patriotic. It's not just common sense. It is survival. It is unequivocal. It is default. And the answer to bring down the technocrats is for there to be a great awakening. We're very close to that. And that's why they're attempting to just mainline all the bad things they're doing in an attempt to just overwhelm us. Instead of denying it while they built the control grid, now they're like, okay, you're resisting it, but it's just everywhere. And yeah, we were doing everything. What's she going to do about it? To make you feel overpowered, to make you feel small. But it's time to stop complying. It's time to start getting aggressive. It's time in nonviolent civil disobedience at every level. And they phrase civil disobedience meaning a legal, lawful protest. That's not what civil disobedience is. Civil disobedience is loading your shotgun in D.C. to exercise a right that's inherent. And I'm not recommending you should do something that honorable and courage-filled. But it's now time to start getting aggressive. And film is the language now. Television is the language, not so much print. That's for more thinkers who then can influence others. It's important to put it down in text, but film and video is now the way to really communicate. And that's why we had the Paul Revere contest, $115,000 that, quite frankly, I didn't have. I took my own personal nest egg savings, that's not very large, and putting it into this because it's all pure research. I don't even know what would come from this. Millions and millions of views already, over 600 films, several hundred of them really good, more than 50 or so that are excellent, a few, 7 or 8 that are just amazing. It was about, okay, they've spent tens of billions every year for propaganda and disinfo and New World Order garbage. What would $115,000 do? Because I don't want at the end of this, just, I got a nice house and a nice car and a hot tub, and boy, that's great. That doesn't fulfill me. That doesn't float my boat. That doesn't give me a thrill. They get a thrill up their leg. They're at MSNBC when they see the president. Well, I guess Slimeball Matthews gets some kind of homoerotic excitement. Well, that's his own issue. I'm all into freedom. Great. Good for you. The point is, I don't get a thrill up my leg when I look at Barack Obama. I get a chill up my spine of concern and my instincts, but also intellectually knowing danger, warn people. So we've had the contest. It's been a big success. We're going to continue to showcase some of the films, some of the music videos, some of the comedies that didn't get a lot of attention on the Nightly News, on the radio show, on prisonplanet.com, on Infowars.com. And we all know that the time is short. The enemy's moving quickly because the enemy knows the time is short. And so now is the time to be all in. Most people have been super good sports if they didn't win first, second, or third place. Some people I saw took their videos down. That's your loss for society and humanity. So some people can't stand losing. You only lose by being a bad sport. You win by being involved in the great game of life on the side of good. It's the animating contest of liberty that's empowering. But you can see all of the different entries at Infowars.com/Paul. or just type in Paul Revere Film Contest into the search engine, into the NSA terminal. That's what your computer is an NSA terminal. It's not like the NSA spying on you. You're in an NSA-built terminal, DARPA terminal. I mean, that's just the whole thing is. I'm sorry. I mean, that's DARPA and MIT said that 30 years ago. I mean, it's just so frustrating to read their own writings. People are like, is Alex right? They're spying on me? Is the BPA meant to sterilize us? Is it? Yeah, it's all on record. And that's what's so frustrating, folks. You can differ on my final analysis or my solutions, but I don't have an intellect or words to describe to you the massive constellation of control freak craziness that's coming down on us. Because at its heart, DARPA has announced that they're going to create humans with a 47th chromosome. And they're going to make it the law, your baby's got to be screened under national health care to kill the embryo if they say it has a problem, like mental illness, like opposition to corruption is a mental illness. This is the brave new world. Huxley said that was the plan. And so I'm all in against this. Because let me tell you, these people running this are a bunch of sickos. It'd be bad enough if they were like, you know, an alien race or something that had some other plan for us. I wouldn't want our destiny taken control. These are the most degenerate, wanting, weirdos, selfish, crazed, just vicious people running things. And we've got to get control of the wheel of the ship here and put it back on a course of the North Star of common sense and common law and organic systems. Not what is being built. And the globalists are handing, they don't know how to interface all these AI computers to track everybody. So it's already automated. It's already autonomous, on record. The big Google defense brain, the big beast system in Belgium, they call it that, by the way, not the Bible thumpers. Almost all the new drones are autonomous. I mean, these people have a death wish, and I don't have one. And so the winner is Michael Dorman, and he's a very interesting individual. I'm not going to go over his entire background. You can read about him at imdb.com. The Department of Homeland Security has been infiltrated at top levels by foreign globalists who are preparing to implode the global economy to consolidate the world's assets for themselves. They know the U.S. military, veterans, Christians, and gun owners, and pro-constitutionalists will not allow America to fall without a fight. So a purge of these citizens, that's, by the way, a public... This purge plan is public. They should all be arrested. Has been ordered and is underway. The DHS has begun to conduct psychological evaluations throughout the agency to determine who will be loyal to the purge agenda and to discharge those who will not. And it's written by Anonymous. Michael Dorman joins us. He's an actor and filmmaker, and he's been in a bunch of movies. He's also produced PG Westerns that are very popular. So he's an established grassroots guy. And it's people like Michael, and then those of us out there buying from alternative media films, visiting alternative media sites, voting with your dollars before they convert to a total crony insider economy that are going to save our civilization. But you've got to fight in the info war. You've got to become the leader. Whether it's a newsletter or handing out my magazine or spreading the word about the show or doing your own YouTube channel or making films, whatever your skill is, you better use it now. And just engage the enemy from so many different angles we defeat it. And people inside the system better understand none of you are coming back from this. This is a 100+ year eugenics plan that makes me a Christian, makes me know that they're spiritual forces, because there's no way they came up with this 100 years ago on their own. I mean, this whole thing's been planned. They discovered DNA to track people. They invented computers to racetrack. The IBM systems. I don't want to get off into a rant. The point here is folks, we're facing a devilish plan. And your churches have been taken over. I mean, it's just unbelievable how bad this is. And the good news is we're here to wake people up so they're aware of this. Even though this plan's pretty much going to play itself out, it is going to collapse in the end, folks. Common sense shows that. My Bible says that. My gut tells me that. But it is going to be front row seats to the science fiction movie like nothing you've ever seen. But you're going to be in it in the arena. And so the language of awakening is film. And we're going to go to him briefly here in a moment. And we're sending him the $100,000 in the next few days. And I congratulate him on what he's doing. But let's play a clip from Purge. From Purge. Here it is.
We're going to continue to purchase ammunition to keep it off the open market. This prevents these extremists from getting ammunition in their hands. Additionally, we've purchased 7,000 assault weapons. These weapons will be issued to newly formed FEMA Youth Corps brigades. It's apparent that the world has entered into a currency crisis and trade disputes that could actually lead to civil unrest and armed conflict. Now, in the past, extremists were easy to identify. They were skinheads, KKK members, radical political ideologists. Well, now it's becoming a little more difficult. This group includes anti-abortionists, pro-constitutionalists, believers in biblical end times, gun owners, and most importantly, military veterans.
Excuse me, but military veterans are not extremists.
And believers in end times? That's like every Christian in America. That's millions and millions of people. And they're good people.
Schreiben Sie die Idee Nummer. All right, now that's Michael Dorman's film, The Purge. I wanted to get him on briefly. He was on the Nightly News last night to break it down. We appreciate his work, to tell us about his idea for the film, some of the great people that are in it. I want to talk about some of them, great actors, and the fact that really about 95% of this film is what they're actually doing. I know I'm guessing you use Germans for the dumbed-down public to get, oh, they're foreigners, when it's a corporate globalist foreign takeover. But it's great to have you on, sir.
Well, thank you, Alex. I really appreciate it. This was so much fun. It was a mission. It was a real mission, and that's what makes it special.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, tell us about how you made it and a little bit about the crew and where you think this country's going in general and what you think of what I just said about people like you out there, all of us. It's time for all of us to resist and just overwhelm and human wave attacks in the info war.
Absolutely. I mean, I just gathered a lot of your articles, and so many of your articles in January, February were about the DHS, their paper targets, all the ammo buying, all the weapons that they were hoarding and gathering up. And so I just really put a script together of a lot of those different articles, got creative, got great guys like Mike Wilford, Michelle Bauer that you saw in the film. Mike Wilford, he played the evaluator. Well, he was a Marine. He was stationed in Germany, and he knew German. And that's one reason we use the language. And I personally like the German language. I think it sounds cool to make that globalist effects. I'm not trying to offend Germans.
No, it's a powerful, scary sounding language. No, I'm about half German. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we put that together. And it's really all about getting into the globalist mindset. And we really wanted to show that in the narrative. And that's what I really like to do in future projects is get into their mindset, and then we get to see it, because you're not going to be able to see that in an interview. You're not going to be able to see that in any other way, but really narrative film. And so it just turned into a great ministry, a great mission, and off we went. What were the other questions?
No, just tell us how long you shot it, about some of the other actors. I love all of it, and I get you a short script. The one part, and of course, I couldn't make something as good probably myself, so I'm critiquing, just hindsight. When he says robots, people don't get, it is robots they're moving towards, like autonomous drones, systems that'll follow orders. Humans are being taken out of the equation. That's probably the dialogue I would have written, but then folks probably wouldn't know what that meant. So why did you go with the term robots?
Well, just because the article that you posted,
Rise of the Robots.
Right. They were at the time. Now, originally, I wasn't supposed to do that role in the movie. I was actually subbing for someone. So a lot of things that I said during that role, I was just kind of winging it. So a lot of that film was really we shot that thing.
Oh no! I mean, I'm not even criticizing it. I'm just saying that's the one thing people they just don't get. It is 2013. They are moving to robots. Whether it's an autonomous drone or your smart meter or your iPhone, that's a pre-programmed robot tracking and watching you. I mean, it's so key that they're converting from humans and control the machines to the machines, because it gives the globalist control. Where'd you shoot this?
This was all shot in Tucson, Arizona, and that's where I'm from. And so I know the city real well, and that's where I got all my actors, my great actors, Michelle Bauer, Mike Wilford, Bob King, Tom Grollo. All these guys came together, and we shot it within a week. That was shot in April, so we did that whole thing within the month of April.
Wow. Well, I know it's a big commitment to do something like that, and are they excited that they won?
Thrilled. Everyone is just super proud. My phone has just been just going ballistic, and my email account, all the great InfoWarriors giving us support. It's been so much fun. I've met all kinds. The exposure of this has been fantastic. We've already seen great results. That's where it's been such a great mission. It has had such a great effect that all our people have just been so excited. We can't thank you enough.
And oh, no, don't thank me, sir. There's nothing more beautiful than just putting out the idea for a film festival, putting some money into it so people know it's serious, and then just seeing all this incredible pro-human, pro-liberty, pro-truth art. I mean, this has got to be absolute nails on a chalkboard to the globalist.
Yes, and that's really where it gets meaningful, and we want to take it to another level.
Well, I'm excited. Tell us about some of your other amazing work. I can't wait to, because I've talked to some of the crew that have seen some of the films you produced. You're a really good filmmaker, and you try to make wholesome family stuff as well.
Yes, I really appreciate that. Renegade, that's been my Western that just came out a few years ago, about a year ago. And that is about Western where the tagline is, "The good and the bad shall be revealed." It's really a movie about God, gold, and guns. Wholesome Western, good for the whole family. A little mild violence, but it has a great message. And so I'd encourage people to go to chosenfilmworks.com. There's a link there to Amazon to get it. And I think your audience would really enjoy it.
Well, that's fantastic. Again, I'm just want to ask the listeners and the viewers, please be part of this mission. Go, it's commercial free. Go to Infowars.com/Paul. Get The Purge and what other films are on subjects that you want to give to friends and family, and email it, text it, Facebook it, tweet it out. During this next break, I'm going to retweet The Purge out on The Real Alex Jones on Twitter. Please retweet it to everyone so that they understand that they really are doing all this. In closing, after I finish Obama Deception 2, I do want to talk to you. I want to try to produce 4 films a year, depending on how much money we're able to bring in, to try to put them out and have them pay for themselves, and then develop a system to put them in theaters. I know how to do it, but that costs millions to even do, a moderate rollout that would really have a big effect, but we don't have that, so we're going to try to build towards that. So I want to talk to you soon about ideas you guys have to collaborate with us. But in the minute we've got left, sir, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just like to encourage all the Info Warriors and to get involved. And even though you might be disappointed about something, you didn't win, you didn't get as far as you'd like to, just keep going. I've been in film festivals. I was in the reporter contest, and I didn't make it past the first round. So you just got to keep going. It's like Og Mandino says, "I will be the raindrop which washes away the mountain, the ant that devours the tiger, the star which brightens the earth, the slave that builds the pyramid. One small step at a time, and you'll do great things." And that's defeating globalism too. It's not going to be one over day in a day or so. You just got to keep going. From childish swipes, the oak will eventually tumble. You just got to keep going, be persistent, and you will succeed.
Absolutely, and that's what this is all about. I mean, I don't have that much talent, but in 18 years,
yes, you do.
I have savaged the globalists with the help of people like you and our listeners that are the info war. Our listeners supporting us, spreading the word, giving us info. We are all one family against this evil, and the good will be revealed, the wicked will be revealed, and the wicked will fall, because sooner or later God is going to cut them down. I tell you, good job on The Purge, sir. Michael Dorman, God bless you. We'll be back with more news.
There may be...
James Dillingpole is going to pop in for about 30, 40 minutes with us on the latest on the Enviro movement funded by the big oil companies. Oh, you heard the oil companies were fighting the environmental movement. No, things are not as they seem. Look a bit closer, and then still closer, and then you may begin to understand. By the way, it is with InfoWarsStore.com that I fund things like this film festival, and I'm just trying everything. Magazines, Twitter, Facebook, films, nightly news. I'm just doing whatever I can, and I want to thank all of you out there. You know who you are that have helped InfoWars.com and Prisonplanet.com. Listeners, media folks, everybody. I know there are a lot of good people in the system as well, and I mean, this New World Order gets closer and closer. We're now figuring out it is really bad news. It's, I was going to plug some sponsors here, but I had a dream last night. I woke up at about 4 a.m. So happy, and then I realized it was just a dream. And then I went in and looked at my children in bed asleep, and thought about how someday their lives would have just been a dream. To have children is to kill your children. I mean, they're going to live and then they're going to die, but they're going to live on through their children. It is only the death of humanity and your genetic line that is true death. And the globalists are doing that with all the genetic engineering and the rest of it. And it's abominable, and the fruit is horrible. It's just terrible. But I just realized that bringing children into the world is bringing them into the pain, the suffering. And I know everybody understands this, but it's the animating contest of life. So that gift is 1,000 times better than any of the bad things that go along with it. The good outweighs the bad. And that is the great adventure of life. But I had a dog, Max, that we got when I was about 7 years old. And he died about 3 months after I moved out of my parents' house. He had like a heart attack, and I came home. The vet said he was going to die, so I laid down on the carpet with him with a cover and woke up in the morning, and he was dead. And I woke up from the dream hugging him. He was alive again. And, oh, Max, I haven't seen you in so long. It's so good. And then I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like, oh, he's dead. He's been dead for 20 years. And then I just realized, we're all going to be dead someday, folks. We need to really do the right thing now while we're alive. This is such a wondrous time to be alive. There's so many good things. It's such an adventure. And then you look at the culture the globalists push. That lets you know who they are. I mean, it's just anti-good, anti-wholesome, anti-family, anti-father, anti-child. And I just make a public announcement that I'm separate from these people, and I'm going to do everything I can to expose them and fight them. And I just hope you'll join me in fighting them. Briefly, InfidelBodyArmor.com. Amazing folks. Infidel Body Armor stops hundreds of rounds from AK-47, M4, 30-06, 308, and more. Chromatic armor may stop 6 rounds, but what about the 7th? Fit sizes, medium to XXL, rated level 3 body armor. Give them a call, 888-608-6605. The longest-lasting body armor is now cheaper than most ammo. InfidelBodyArmor.com. They got a huge catalog, backpacks, a bunch of gear. Check it out. InfidelBodyArmor.com. eFoodsDirect.com/Alex to find one of their best specials ever. Right now, for every $329 you spend on food with eFoods Direct, you'll get a free 24-day food supply Patriot Pack on top of it, plus get free shipping. And they used to only do that every once in a while. That is awesome. They're doing that again. Free shipping's a huge special. The best storable foods out there. This is a huge savings. If you've ever thought about having your own food supply, now is the time. Limit 10 per order. It's the best stuff out there. Have it. Grab and go. Emergencies. Store 25 years. eFoodsDirect.com, 800-409-5633. And finally, PrivateInternetAccess.com encrypts internet connection, hides your IP address, providing anonymous browsing, provides firewall protection, which prevents data mining, provides uncensored access to the complete internet, maintains no records whatsoever, on and on and on. Based in the USA. Read about it. Find out. PrivateInternetAccess.com. Coming up in the next segment, James Dillingpole from the United Kingdom will be joining us. Interesting article, 97% of the greenie weenies funded by big oil. I've known this for a while, but I didn't know it was 97%. I mean, it's just like, if I'm against communism, they go, oil company. Or if I'm for coal, oil company. And then I go research, it's oil companies that want to shut down coal because it's their competition. I own no coal, no oil, no natural gas, zero interest in it. But it doesn't matter. They just go, yeah, you know you do, you piece of trash. I'm like, okay, you like your power prices doubling. You like America shutting down and Europe shutting down because globalists own China and are moving all the jobs there. Okay. All right, boy, you're really showing me the evil oil company, man. We're going to be getting into all that with him for about 45 minutes or so. And then I'm going to get into, going back to England, celebrity arrests could soar after horrified police discovered Jimmy Savile's secret lair at record shop. You want to know what's wrong with the BBC? They've been arresting other people over there for sex crimes. A very nasty group of people. And I'm not saying all of them, but at the top, it is a real... Take one look at Savile. I mean, he looks like the guy driving an ice cream truck around trying to grab kids. I mean, if I was casting for a pedophile in a movie, that's who I'd look for, something like that. I mean, that guy makes your skin crawl. And there's more on that, how it ties into an article up on Infowars.com. Foster care system traps children into vicious cycles of sex abuse. Yeah, they're designed for that. And then we'll also continue this article that I mentioned but haven't gotten to yet. DARPA to genetically engineer humans by adding the 47th chromosome. And they brought us the internet, they brought us Skynet, they brought us the drones, they brought us the television with the telescreens watching us. By the way, that's in CNN today that, oh, your TV is watching you. Oh, it's been doing it for a long time, huh? Tracks everything you do, has built-in cameras, microphones. It's for your safety. Oh, you talked about getting a pressure cooker to cook some food in. We don't know the name of that food. We SWAT teamed you. That happened yesterday. We're listening. We're watching. Then they have the CIA director tell Congress, or the NSA director, we don't spy. We don't listen to anybody. And they go, but you admit you do. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. And then he goes to the Black Hat hacking conference and talks in like this space alien voice of, we're not doing anything illegal. We're protecting freedom. Everybody's like, what is he, a robot? I mean, it's just crazy people. I mean, we've just got a bunch of crazy control freaks running around, and we've got the CPS manuals we've shown there where they say the family is archaic and must be done away with. What are your SWAT teams going to take care of the kids? I mean, it's just like, I know you're all dressed up because it's like a status symbol. I'm a bureaucrat. I'm a SWAT team. I'm a greenie weenie with my clipboard. It's like they've all arrived and we haven't. And they're all now the new upper class, the new royalty. You know, the banksters, the globalists above the law, festooning themselves in all their royal regalia. And I just had enough of it. I want you off my back, out of my life. You know what I hate about big government and tyranny? It's all the knuckle-dragging scum that I'd never associate with, that I'd never go water skiing with, that I'd never go camping with, that I'd never go out to the bar with, that I'd never go to a movie with, that I'd never talk to you, I'd never look at you, I don't want to be around you, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're pathetic, you're mindless, you come from scum-filled families, you're failures, and now you want to waddle around the piles of crap you are and tell me how to run my life while you siphon everything off of me, telling me how great you are. You can go straight to hell, you hear me? Good people are going to crush you. Intellectually, it's begun and you can feel it. And I hope you understand nothing on earth is going to stop it, you degenerates. And I'll tell you the great solace in all of this is, in the final equation, you know you're losers that serve the system. You know you're scum. You know you're pathetic. And you know we don't want to associate with you. And you're not invited to the party. And winners don't want to be around you. So go form your societies of pedophiles and scum, because it'll never stop the fact that you're piles of dog crap. James Dillingpole, straight ahead. I'm Alex Jones. And we are the heart of the resistance worldwide, from inside the globalist-occupied United States and the main resistance system, Texas, recognized worldwide, one of the last final systems not seized by the globalists completely. We broadcast to everyone with salutations of liberty and freedom from the former United States. I am in FEMA Region 6. Unbelievable, under obvious globalist surveillance here in the technocratic state that we call the New World Order. I wanted to get James Dillingpole on last week when I saw his article. He's an English columnist, best-selling author, novelist who writes for, among other publications, The Times, The Daily Telegraph, and The Spectator. He's published many books and novels and political books as well. He describes himself as being a libertarian conservative. James is the winner of the 2010 Bestott Prize for Online Journalism, jamesdillingpole.com. And I always read his stuff in the London Telegraph. And the reason I wanted to get him on is I saw this headline, 97% of climate activists in the pay of big oil. Shock. Another one, Halliburton pleads guilty to destroying evidence after Gulf spill. That's just some of what we're going to be going over with him today. But it's been 4 years since the Copenhagen event, when we got the emails of them all basically meeting with the UN and universities to fix things and hide the decline in temperature. And since then, just more and more has come out, where Pachari is shutting down steel plants and coal plants in England and then getting money to move them to India, or Obama pays $21 billion of taxpayer money to ship General Motors to China. I mean, they're not just shutting us down. They're having us pay to be shut down to collectivize us. And now they've got 101 million Americans on some form of food assistance. People are waking up to a certain extent, but does it matter if there's no jobs? And the regulations are written where you go on the government dole. So I want to discuss that with him as well. But, you know, I personally and my family and my wife, you name it, get zero money from oil, natural gas. I own no stocks. I mean, I've got some family that's got tiny gas wells on part of their property where they get like, $500 a month or something. But it's actually natural gas, I find, on average, lobbying to shut down coal, too, because they're in competition with it. The coal lobby ought to pay me some money, I tell you what. But I promote coal because it's clean burning now. All that comes out is water and carbon dioxide. So they listed carbon dioxide as toxic. But China has no controls and builds 3 new ones a week, while we have more than 3 shut down a week. And our power prices go up and up and up. They've shut down 3 of the Austin-owned power plants in the last 5 years, and they're shutting the final one down. And they admit in the paper our power prices have doubled in 5 years. Doubled. And, I mean, you talk about hurting poor people. It's like Obama with Obamacare raising payroll tax. I mean, this is devastating stuff. And just watching America be turned off is painful to me. It's very, 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 very painful to see this happening. And so I wanted to get James Dillingpole on about that, because their only response of the fake environmentalists to ignore all the serious issues like overfishing, open-air genetic engineering, things I have a real problem with when they're not done properly, is you work for big oil. And they just say it as a mantra. And then every time I turn around, it's BP. It's Dutch Roll Shell. It's ExxonMobil. It's Texaco. It's Valero. It's funding it, underwriting it. And I learned they're shutting down coal. They're shutting down all their competition. They don't want new refineries built. They own all the... This has come out in the Associated Press. They didn't just hijack it. It's like, well, of course they're trying to fund us to control us. No. They made the modern environmental movement. And Dillingpole's done some major research on this. And it just shows what an incredible double cross this is, and how the big oil companies try to use environmental laws to shut down the smaller wildcats too. So it's really amazing. James, thank you for coming on with us to talk about this. And I want to, in general, get into other things that are happening in the collectivization and how we try to turn that around and where you think Obama's going. But first off, let's get into your article, 97% of climate activists in the pay of big oil, and explain how this works from your research perspective.
Well, Alex, I think we take with a pinch of salt that figure, 97%. I was using it to mock this claim, which you must have seen widely relayed on the internet and constantly put out by the warmists, that apparently... That
big oil funds 97% of people saying it. And,
yeah, but the environmentalists are always telling us that 97% of climate scientists believe in man-made global warming. And when you look at the number of scientists who actually believe this stuff, it doesn't stack up. It's basically the result of rigged surveys. The first one...
It's a small amount of UN insiders.
Well, exactly. You look at the figures and you realize that it's something like about 75 climate scientists said, yes, I think that man-made carbon dioxide is contributing to climate change. Well, almost everyone thinks that. It means absolutely nothing. Of course, it's possible that CO2 contributes to climate change. But,
sure. I mean, I understand it's tongue-in-cheek in your article, but you actually link to where most of them are funded by big oil, though.
It's certainly true that the oil industry's record in the war against environmentalist nonsense has not been good. You mentioned the BP oil spill. I mean, let's deal with that one now. Why did the BP oil spill happen? It's because in the 90s, BP decided that it would greenwash its image. It would rebrand itself as something called Beyond Petroleum, and it would start pushing for renewables, and it would start investing heavily in the solar industry and get away from this dirty oil which was killing the planet, and it would be green and caring and nurturing. Well, the fact is that once you give up on your core business and start going down this crazy environmentalist route, certain problems arise. And one of the things that BP did was it cut back on its core business. It cut back on health and safety. Over a period of 5 years, it had 3 major accidents, culminating in the BP oil spill. Why did this happen? Because it was pretending to be a green company. It should have stuck to its business and acknowledged that it should stick to what it's good at, which is drilling for oil. And there are countless examples of this from across the energy sector. I mean, the article you quoted was about a guy called Dana Nuccitelli. Now, Dana Nuccitelli is one of the Green Movement's attack dogs. He writes a column in the Guardian newspaper, one of the greenest newspapers there is, always putting out Enviro scare stories. And no one puts out Enviro scare stories more aggressively than Dana Nuccitelli. Anyway, what this guy has been keeping very, very quiet is the fact that he works for, guess what? An oil company. A company called Tetra Tech, which is heavily involved in mining and oil exploration. Now, strangely, he didn't think to mention this to
look at Al Gore and Occidental and all that. I mean, it's incredible. Al Gore is a huge oilman.
Yeah, exactly. And where did Al Gore sell his TV company to? He sold out to big oil, much to the delight of some of his green acolytes. But there was another example in the news the other day. You remember Professor Phil Jones, the guy at the Climatic Research Unit, one of the stars of the Climate Gate email.
Yes.
You remember him? Well, I found this glorious picture of Professor Phil Jones sandwiched between some Saudi oil men. This guy has now landed himself a gig at the Center of Excellence for Climate Change Research, Department of Meteorology, King Abdul Aziz University, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Well, let's stop right there. I'm sure that's in a new article you did. Give us the headline. We'll put it in for TV viewers, and so for radio listeners can find it. What's the headline?
Well, it's let's have a look. It's at a site called Tall Blokes Talk Shop. Professor Phil Jones and King Abdul Aziz University, Saudi Arabia.
So Professor Phil Jones and Saudi Arabia. Just type that in, guys. It'll come up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the hypocrisy of these people beggars belief.
Well, don't they just get involved in this so that the big oil and big groups can choose the winners and losers? Because, I mean, the AP back in 2000 reported that the top 10 big oil met and said, let's actually fund enviro groups to shut down new refinery construction so only we have refineries to create an artificial bottleneck. I mean, that's when I first learned about this.
Yeah, I think it's true of big corporations generally, that big corporations are the enemy of free markets. They are the enemy of small businesses. They love regulation. They love big government because they can wear all the compliance costs.
Yeah, they can navigate it and nobody else can.
Exactly, and they can move their operations from country to circumvent this. This is the great advantage of being a multinational. They can get away with stuff that small local businesses cannot. They use regulation as a way of shutting down their competitors. So it's in their interest that they've got all these kind of greenies campaigning for more regulation. They are not our friends. They are not the friends of the little man. It is, as you rightly say, a stitch-up between governments and corporations. And we are the people who suffer. You mentioned earlier President Obama and the rising energy prices in the US. Now, you remember a few years ago, President Obama gave an infamous speech where he talked about how energy prices would necessarily skyrocket. Just look up Obama skyrocket.
And he said, if you try to build a coal plant, we will bankrupt you.
Yeah, he wants energy to get more expensive because of this greeny mission, the idea that energy is somehow bad for us, that we shouldn't use aircon, we shouldn't use refrigerators.
Well, that's like telling the Africans they can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also the energy industry generally, you have, for example, Gazprom in Russia. Gazprom, the biggest natural gas producer in Russia, is busy funding the anti-fracking industry because they see it as a rival. Then you've got...
Exactly. Stay there. Let's talk about that. Absolutely. I've learned that big oil's funding the anti-fracking movement, and I'm not for some fracking. Some people do it wrong. But the point is they're hyping it to shut down wildcats. On this August 2nd, 2013, Friday worldwide broadcast, I'll be back this Sunday live, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time with the Sunday transmission, and back tonight with InfoWars Nightly News, 7 o'clock. For everybody at InfoWarsNews.com or PrisonPlanet.tv, James Dillingpole, syndicated columnist at Rice London Telegraph, and, of course, best-selling author, joins us. You were just getting into something that real libertarians and conservatives and freedom lovers, for me, is the #1 mission. just what I've discovered in 18 years. It's like discovering, the sun comes up in the morning. It's just a fact that big mega money almost always teams up with government to shut down its competition and create controlled markets. And if you see billionaires that made their own money, the system will all organize against them and go after them like a pack of piranhas. And this is the message we've got to get to the left, who is anti-wealth. They don't even understand it's the ultra-rich allied with them and this collectivization to make them dependent because they don't want competition. So please continue with the just incredible, not even hypocrisy, but the organized takeover of the economy, the smart meters, they're announcing everywhere, the 200-square-foot coffin apartments where they raise your taxes and energy prices where you can only live in that. I mean, this is really feudalism.
Yeah, I think one of the big questions of our time, Alex, is why aren't capitalists defending capitalism? And the answer, unfortunately, I think, is that a lot of people within capitalism have given up on free markets. They see no future in it. I think that people are so despairing of the future of the global economy that they are like vultures feeding on the rotting carcass that remains of our global economic system, and they are using government regulation to pick up what little bits of meat of rotting meat there are left. In other words, no one's sticking up for small businessmen building up their businesses and unencumbered by government regulation. Now what you have is the big companies teaming up with the Obama administration and getting what they can while they still can, which is why you get situations like Solyndra. What is it? $500 million of US taxpayers' money just urinated up against the wall to no purpose whatsoever.
Oh, and some of the companies they funded just opened a P.O. box and never did anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the inevitable byproduct of a world which no longer believes in capitalism. What's left is this disgusting thing called corporatism. These people, some of the worst apologists for the environmental movement, in my experience, are executives from the oil companies. They really do not care whether energy prices are being driven up. They do not care about people dying in fuel poverty. They pay lip service to this stuff, but actually all they think about is the bottom line.
Let's talk about these numbers. I know Lord Monckton said it would kill 1 billion people if they put the Copenhagen Treaty in that even raised taxes more in the third world than the West, and it was all a big double cross. But if they had their Agenda 21 plan, if they were able to roll it all out, it'll make those of us here all poor. Poor people really poor, middle class poorer, upper middle class, just, rich. I mean, it affects everybody except the insiders. What would happen, though, for people in the third world? They're living at subsistence. Isn't this a death sentence if all this goes through?
Undoubtedly. We've seen the most terrible stories going on in certain countries in Africa, for example, where villages have been cleared and burned out, and people have been killed in order to make way for these carbon sinks, these supposed tree plantations, which are supposed to offset global warming. There was something I came upon today. Do you remember that terrible video that backfired on the internet? It was called Splattergate.
Yeah, blowing the kids up. Yeah, they're going to murder the kids. Yeah.
Okay, well, Franny Armstrong, the impeccably middle-class English woman, environmental campaigner who was responsible for that movie, has written this newsletter to all her Enviro friends. And at the end, she says, "Should we stockpile cyanide? You think I'm exaggerating, but a close friend of mine who has 4 children said she plans to kill herself and them when it comes to it." These environmentalists are dangerous. They are talking nonsense on the basis of junk science. They are trying to scare us rigid into taking this concerted global action to what ultimately will result in the destruction of the capitalist system.
James, stay there. We got to come back. This is breaking. For those that don't know, they showed students who wouldn't accept carbon taxes blown up by their teacher, hailed by the UK government, and now the head of this is saying stockpile cyanide like Joseph Goebbels to kill your children. That's what Joseph Goebbels did. I'm telling you, folks, this is a death cult of loonies.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run.
Show you a short clip of Splattergate here for TV viewers. Radio listeners may remember a few years ago, these are TV ads that ran before movies in England and on the internet showing school children blown up and murdered. This was shown to children if they didn't accept carbon taxes. Do we have that clip ready? Let's go ahead and play a clip of Splattergate here.
No pressure at all, but it'd be great to get a sense of how many of you might do this. Just a rough percentage. That's fantastic. And those not? Philip and Tracy. That's fine, that's absolutely fine.
They don't accept carbon taxes. She hits the button and kills them.
Thank you so much for today, and I will see you all tomorrow. Oh, just before you go, I just need to press
the power trip.
This little button here. Now,
they murder them.
Please remember to read chapters 5
and then it shows them murdering football players,
and
business people.
Except for Philip and Tracy.
It goes on and on.
Right, just want to check on that 1010 thing.
Yeah, who's going to go along with the environmental carbon taxes? And those that say no, they kill them. Now, they've called in the Guardian for environmental fascism. They call it that. And it's time to have rationing, of course, for themselves, kind of like the socialists in France. Over 100% taxes for the general public this last year to bankrupt people, but they're all exempt. That's a big scandal, but nobody got in trouble. They have the troops, they have the guns. And Dylan Pohl just sent me the article that one of his friends sent him from her internal Kickstarter program of the lady that was behind that video and that program with 1010, talking about reportedly cyanide. So I want you to read from that because Dr. Eric Pianka at UT broke down crying at the Texas Academy of Sciences. He's gotten national awards and international awards in Europe. In fact, I think Prince Philip has been at one of his events. No, it was Prince Charles. And he projected a PowerPoint of skulls, a photo actually of the Khmer Rouge. And the FBI even went and talked to him. He's there with the biology department at UT at the time. And he said it's sad, but he and his family are ready to die. Soon the airborne Ebola will be released. And then I had his graduate students send me threatening emails, and I would check their name and find them working at bioweapon labs in white coats, you know, graduating a decade ago. So I found the exception is someone in the biology department nowadays that doesn't say kill all humans, or 90% like Pianka. And so we have her in her own little email attributed to her saying we need to have cyanide ready on hand for our children. Please read from it for folks.
Yeah, okay. She writes to her fans. She says, "You've probably heard the appalling news that for the first time in human history, the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has just passed 400 parts per million, which means that we are heading for an even worse scenario than the one we depicted in The Age of Stupid." That was a film she made, another Enviro scare movie she made earlier on. And she says, "So what the hell are we all going to do now? Should we pile pressure onto the UN in the hope that they defy all expectations and finally make the international agreement needed to slash global emissions? Should we start a national strike, bringing the country to a standstill until the government goes onto a war footing on climate change? Should we all go into survivalist mode, buying up guns and fortifying our homes?" It sounds extreme, but it's not a coincidence that people working on climate change are buying pieces of land far away from centres of population to move their families. And on she goes like this. And then she mentions this friend of hers. This friend, she says, "Should we stockpile cyanide? You think I'm exaggerating, but a close friend of mine who has 4 children said she plans to kill herself and them when it comes to it, in a Goebbels style." Isn't it great?
Simply amazing. And we're going to show a text document of that newsletter on screen. This is really like a Hail Bop cult. And meanwhile, they're not worried about any of the real issues that are going on because I'm concerned about nuclear weapons proliferation. Some of the GMO stuff's a real problem. But, I mean, we've got to tax carbon dioxide. But then the obvious lie, even NASA and all the scientists that have done ice core, mud core, they all know that carbon dioxide we're in a carbon dioxide low range. I've seen reports that it's been over 100 times higher before. And I mean, what are they talking about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In the Holocene optimum, it was the there were many times more. There was significantly more carbon dioxide than there is now. And guess what happened? The Earth was much greener than it is now. Indeed, the fact that CO2 has been rising these last few decades, what's happened is that the planet has got much greener. It's easier to grow vegetation with high CO2 levels. That's why in industrial greenhouses, they pump in significant quantities of CO2 to help the tomatoes grow and so on. CO2 is our friend. CO2 is plant food. Any serious scientist knows this. By the way, can I credit my excellent friend Phelim McAleer, director of a fantastic film called Frack Nation, who sent me that scary email from Franny Armstrong. And I can also point out, Alex, this is what shocks me about that Splattergate movie that we saw earlier on, and this woman. The people involved in this were not kind of your average scary eco-fascist loons. These were respectable people like Gillian Anderson, you know, the girl from the X-Files, the actress. She was in the Splattergate movie. Tom York, Radiohead. They did the soundtrack to it. You had famous football players from various
and
teams.
The main thing is a lot of people, they get involved mean well. And so it just
well.
But have you not noticed in the leadership of these groups, it's really more like a eugenics death cult?
I think it is a eugenics death cult. And actually, it's no coincidence that a lot of the people who were big into eugenics in the 40s and 50s graduated to environmentalism in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, they admit that's they changed the name of the journals over to that. They admitted that was the strategy, yeah.
At the heart of environmentalism is a deep misanthropy, a deep suspicion of the human race. This generalized feeling that we do not belong on the planet. We should really do the planet a favor and wipe ourselves all out.
Let's be clear. We don't belong. We're only there to pay taxes and serve the kleptocrat control freak class. They are the guardians. They need to continue on.
Oh yeah, Ted Turner will inherit the earth, of course, while the rest of us die. I mean, Ted Turner's buying up whole swathes of America, while we're all driven into poverty because of the environmentalist causes.
Yeah, what do you make of Prince Charles saying, "Don't take a hot shower," and then getting money to heat their palaces, and then old ladies have to get on buses to stay warm, as came out last year because their gas is turned off? I mean, how does a prince with literally billions of pounds of stuff, come out and tell people when he's got dozens of jets and valets and all this that we shouldn't be able to take a hot shower?
Yeah, well, the scary thing is, Alex, that this guy is our future king. I'm hoping the Queen will reign forever so that Prince Charles never gets to take over, because it is extraordinary, as you say, the hypocrisy. He jetted over a few years ago to Rio de Janeiro with his massive entourage to tell us that we had just 100 months left to save the world. He travels in one of the world's most expensive sports cars, an Aston Martin, but hey, it's okay because it's powered by biofuels. And this guy has the temerity to lecture us on how to live our lives more frugally, more eco-friendly.
Unbelievable. Let's get back to fracking, because, again, there are cases where you got some of these companies in areas that are being sloppy, getting into water tables. But from when I've actually gone and researched it, a lot of this stuff, when they're going 10,000 feet down, they're not even near water tables. They've got to concrete it in. They're getting the oil. And then you've discovered, and I've seen the articles, that a lot of big oil, the Saudis, the Russians, they do not want Texas, especially where I live, getting its own oil.
Look, if the Environmental Protection Agency, which I think we can agree is about as close to eco-Nazism as it gets, if even they cannot find serious evidence to show that fracking is dangerous, then I think we can be fairly confident that fracking is not a real problem. Look, the only reason that the American economy right now is not tanking more than it currently is, the only reason is that it has been saved by shale gas and shale oil. That has brought down the cost of energy. It has made American jobs more competitive.
And that's on record. That's on record. They're not debating that.
No. It means that no longer is American industry offshoring. Industry is now coming back to America. America has been saved by shale oil and shale gas. And there are lots of vested interests which do not like this. Everything from the green movement campaigning for more useless renewable energy like ugly, landscape destroying, sleep disturbing, health ruining wind farms.
Well, hold on. Before your cat leaves, I see it in the background behind you there. It's about to jump off. Before your cat leaves, the fake PETA people and the rest of it are actually a bunch of eugenicists, and I know because I've had family that actually worked and got into the upper sanctum before they got deprogrammed and woke up and got out of it. Very few have actually gotten into the upper sanctum. All the stuff that exposed PETA a few years ago actually came from my wife, but she didn't write the book on it. They used the book primer to actually do the investigations and find out it was true. In fact, a lot of what she said is not even known because it's so over the top that people wouldn't believe it. But they are really the animal liberation front, basically. And it's not even about animals. It's about, again, letting governments say they have a vote because they vote for the animals. But then they say you shouldn't be allowed to have a cat or a dog, and they're going to have to be gotten rid of, and that it should be outlawed for you to have a domesticated animal. So that also ties into feeding animals. Your own animal is bad. You're going to have to give up your cat. What's its name, James?
It's called Runty.
Oh, my gosh. I can tell that cat likes you. Well, what, you put it out for the interview? Or it would be on the keyboard right now?
I'm trying to get in with the animal freaks. You know, maybe they won't come around and kill me when they see that I've got a pet that I care about.
But actually, a lot of the environmentalists are saying they're going to get rid of domesticated animals.
Well, I suppose you've got sort of various factions, the pro-pet faction and the anti-pet faction. Maybe they'll slug it out and kill each other.
Well, that was a nice cat. Looks pretty friendly.
Hello. Shall I let him in?
Absolutely. Let's talk to this Al-Qaeda sympathizer. Oh, my goodness. I like cats, but my wife, we got 4 dogs. And when I first met her, she had 2 cats, and they got old and died. But I said, look, no more animals. So I'm like holding the line at a bunch of fish and lizards my kids have, and 4 dogs.
And snakes. I like snakes as well.
Of course, they don't want global warming. They're hoping for an ice age, the snakes.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it is simply insane. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on and all the points you've made. We've been talking now for about 5-6 years. In closing, obviously, everywhere I talk to people on the street, and I see worldwide, people are waking up that this is really just a power grab and a new priesthood that wants us to have to pay indulgences to them. But even though we're waking people up and winning the statistical battle in the polls, they've already taken over the governments and are just moving forward. A, do you agree with that? And then B, how do we deal with that then?
Well, I think the 2 things we've got in our favor are talk radio shows like yours and the internet. It's the truth is on our side, and that's the glorious thing. No longer can these people close down the argument by hiding behind their bastions of authority. We can. I mean, why did ClimateGate happen? ClimateGate happened because of the internet. Otherwise, these institutions would have kept all this information to themselves. They'd have said, "Oh no, it's a breach of protocol. We can't release the information." Now the information is out there for those who want to find it, and there is a hunger. People, I think libertarianism is actually a very powerful movement, and I think it's growing all the time, thanks to shows like yours, thanks to stuff that I write on the internet. I think together we can beat these bastards, Alex. Can I mention one more thing?
Sure.
I have there's another website I write for called bogpaper.com, bogpaper.com, and that includes some of my more out there libertarian stuff. We're fighting back. We're not going to let these people crush us, because they are evil and we are the keepers of truth, and we believe in freedom, and freedom is a cause worth fighting for and dying for.
Well, absolutely. And when you break in politically into what these people really think, you're like, wow, we've heard of these people before in history. And the Hitler analogy is overused, but he was a socialist, eugenicist, enviro nut.
I think. Well, we don't have to use Hitler. We can talk about ourselves as we are like the Greek states against the Persians at Salamis. You know, the world's fate hung in the balance then. But who won Salamis? It was the freedom fighters, the Greeks. It wasn't the Persian tyrants.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just think we have to realize these are not liberals. I mean, I consider myself to be a classical Thomas Jefferson-style liberal.
Yeah.
And these people are the opposite of that, and I'm sick of them stealing the label liberal. They are not liberal. They are authoritarian control freaks.
But there's always been that divide between the Puritan control freaks and the freedom lovers. And, well, let's just hope the good guys win. All
right, James Dillingpole, great to talk to you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Alex. Bye-bye.
All right, there he goes along with his carbon-emitting cat. That cat has flatulence, and it eats food. It eats meat, which is bad for the earth. So I call for his cat to be executed along with the Hitler dog. And by the way, I meant to tell Dillingpole, no kidding, they're banning paper bags. You can't say the word brown paper bag day in Seattle or you're a racist, or the word citizen. By the way, I played that in the first hour. That article's up on Infowars.com. I am not joking. I mean, this is the out of control stuff that we're talking about here. Briefly, I wanted to, well, when we come back in the next segment, I will refocus and get to the news. There's a bunch of big breaking news that is up on Infowars.com that I want to get to when we come back. But just very, very briefly, please remember that we have the new August magazine out that's talking about political correctness and brainwashing and the race war they're trying to start. Very powerful. That's just the cover. A bunch of other issues are covered in the August issue. You can get a 12-month subscription. It's a great gift subscription to give friends and family. 12 big color magazines coming to them. If that won't wake them up, really nothing will. Give it to your police department. Give it to your local library. We sell them at cost because it's an outreach. You can also buy them in bulk at cost. I printed 30,000 extra of the July issue that has 10 free bumper stickers in it. So get that while supplies last as well at InfoWarsStore.com. And please don't forget, it's the water that the globalists are adding all the crud to carry out their eugenics operations. And it's the water regardless that's so toxic, whether you think it's fracking or the Easter Bunny. The point is you need to get a ProPure, the best gravity-fed filter out there. 10% off with promo code WATER. One place, InfoWarsStore.com. That's InfoWarsStore.com. And don't forget, there's not just the nightly news, ladies and gentlemen, and the radio show. There is the Sunday radio show, 4 to 6 p.m. I'll be live, as I am most Sundays, 4 to 6 p.m. It's always there. Sometimes the best of it. Last month and a half or so I've been live. So Prisonplanet.tv as well tonight with the nightly news, 7 o'clock Central. 1 membership is 11 membership. Oh, that's perfect music to bring in this article that's up on Infowars.com. Gun company displays largest caliber rifle ever created with bullets that cost up to $40 each. It is a .905 caliber. You'll need 2 things, muscle and cash. And it says that each round costs $40. Well, if we make it a popular gun, it won't cost that anymore. But let me give folks some of the other headlines up on Infowars.com. Watchdog group sues for details of Obama's luxury holidays. The guy that says you shouldn't be able to have a hot shower or air conditioner. News editor fired for headline critical of Obama. That's right. You don't do that in the new Soviet states of freedom. Small-town police are tooling up with elite military hardware. Foster care system traps children into vicious cycle of sex abuse. War, murder, rape, blame climate change. Kurt Nemo article. Arkansas arms teachers in schools. Hiding and locking the doors is not a plan. Wow, some common sense out of a public school. I must have died and gone to America. Celebrities as symbols, a great John Rappaport article, and how the NSA manipulates language to mislead the public. That's just some of the news up on Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.com. And after the show today, we're going to post another article dealing with a group of veterans that overthrew a corrupt government in just the last 60 years in America that nobody ever really talks about or hears about. We're going to be posting some key information on that very soon to Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.com. I did a lot of open phones this week. I didn't today on the Friday show. I will open the phones up Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. And I didn't get to some of the news I wanted to cover, like, you know why I didn't cover this yesterday today? Subconsciously, I just don't want to cover it. A secret room with all the list of the hundreds of children supplied to world leaders and tortured and dead bodies they were having sex with. I can't make this up. That's the Mirror and Telegraph. They're all reporting it. Celebrity arrest could soar after horrified police discover Jimmy Savelle's secret lair at record shop. Top BBC guy, best friends with Prince Charles. and brags that he was their special confidant. He had the highest security clearance, could go anywhere in the royal areas he wanted to. And was a total perv that wore silk underwear in public at children events with gold chains hanging around his neck. I mean, just the most, I mean, just like, I would expect going to hell being surrounded by people that look and act like this guy. Obviously psychopathic eyes. If you saw this guy at the playground, you would call the police. I mean, just flaming scumbag. Just over the top, out of control, degenerate demon. And he ran children's charities and CPS in England. And folks, it didn't just end, from my sources, with raping dead children's bodies or raping small children who were alive and getting all of his Queenie awards and knighthoods and the rest of it. It was slitting kids' throats is the word. Oh, but look at that face. You don't think he'd slit children's throats, would you? I mean, look at the photo below that, how crazy he is. I mean, I got to be honest with you. If I saw a guy like that walking down the street, I've run into a few people like that. I mean, I'm not a violent person usually till you mess with me, but I want to kill people that look, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm being honest. I'm not going to kill anybody. I'm just saying, looking at that, put that image back up on screen for TV viewers. No, not that one. That one right there. Now, if a guy looked at you like that, wouldn't you say, hey, get back? And don't you just want to punch him with an uppercut, full power? A full power right uppercut right into the nose. Don't drive the nose into the brain by shoving up and in. You go all the way up and can get the entire nose right off the face. And I'm not a sadist until it comes to people like that. And then I just absolutely it's his eyes looking at me. That is the devil right there. I absolutely, oh my gosh, can you imagine just, yeah. Come on, we can do it. I want to manufacture and sell dartboards of that. No, but it gives it too much attention. To think about what he did to children, I mean, it's a normal instinct. I mean, that's a predator right there. And I've seen the CPS at family court when I've covered it. They're all there. When they grab the little kid and the parents cry, they all do the Savelle face. And you know that kid's getting gang raped tonight. Unfortunately, folks, we got to help the innocents and face the demons that have taken over.
Thank you for
We've got to face it. On the air, if I'm even around at that time, and say our government gave them the heat seekers, they will call me a traitor and say, why do you support Al-Qaeda? And I'll go, no, our government gave it. Our government did it. Shut up, traitor. What are you inside job people talking about? Well, we're talking about criminal elements in our own government that are getting power out of this. This is elementary. Trillions in no-bid weapons contracts, taking all of our rights, making it national security where the trillions in missing Pentagon funds are, able to have rendition aircraft that fly people out for torture and drugs back in that have crashed before and been in Reuters. This is a bunch of hardcore killers above the law, run by private banks and foundations that are fundamentally anti-human and say that they are eugenicists that want to basically enslave humanity. I've got articles on that from DARPA. DARPA to genetically engineer humans by adding 47th chromosome, and are going to roll them out on the streets. And get this, you're racist if you say it's bad to do. By the way, you know how they have had human clones for more than 20 years on record? Oh, yeah. They just don't call them humans because they're less than 1% altered with animal or insect or plant DNA. And then they say they kill them before the embryos grow to full term in the cow uteruses. You may have heard lately, oh, they're going to be able to grow human organs in cow uteruses. I read in the BBC 16 years ago about that. And they were talking about it going on a decade before, so 26 years. I mean, I read 15 years ago about South Korea and Hong Kong and other areas of Asia, in Hong Kong and then in China, but also in South Korea, where you can buy glow-in-the-dark monkeys that are part jellyfish. We ought to buy one just to show everybody. They cost about 20 grand last time I checked. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a science fiction movie. It's 2013. Many of the technologies developed by DARPA and the globalists using Western ingenuity have developed technologies, they say themselves, 30 to 50 years advanced than what the public knows in the national security complex. 26 years ago, humanoids were being grown in the uteruses of cows. The guys just searched the glow-in-the-dark part jellyfish monkeys. We'll put those on screen for viewers. There they are. That's the Sunday Mercury newspaper. And there is the glow-in-the-dark monkey. Last time I checked, they're coming out with monkeys with gills that can live in a fish tank. There's glow-in-the-dark rats and glow-in-the-dark rabbits. And the issue here is, ladies and gentlemen, this is old technology. This was in the late 1990s being sold like something out of Blade Runner on the streets in Asia. And every time I talk about it, we see comments on InfoWars and on YouTube saying I'm a liar. Look, I'm not a liar, okay? And you need to understand, folks, that they've already developed bioweapons and released the way that it can be designed by an average level biochemist for about $100,000. The FBI even complained about this a few years ago, and all over the world, universities in the U.S., Europe, and Australia released different mousepox calculations and basically recipes to make a human mousepox that kills 98% of humans. And they put out how to make it. And when people become decadent and become evil, they start getting into nihilism and being destroyed. Was it Nero that finally committed suicide? Because he'd already purged his family and burned down part of the city for fun and just went. The last thing he could do to be destructive was to kill himself. And I wish the globalists would just skip directly, past the whole monopoly board and go right to killing themselves instead of everybody else along with them. Because they say they're trying to save the earth while they want to put us in coffin apartments and totally control us and shoot us up with stuff. The truth is they're a bunch of demons who'd like to hurt creation. Okay, I said I'll get into all that, and first the other geopolitical news, but just briefly here, ladies and gentlemen, we carry the very best products at InfoWarsStore.com, whether they be the inner food, totally organic, whole food systems at the lowest prices, whether it be, I know their program. Most of it they've put down in books and white papers and conferences they've had on record. It's just mind-boggling to know what their public plan is and to know how horrific it is, and now to see it moving ahead and to still be attacked by people that work for the establishment. They've got a lot of operatives in every major news network and every major newspaper on record since media got going in this country, but it's intensified in the last few decades, because previously people involved in psyops and propaganda in media thought they were doing it for liberty and freedom, and so there was some restraint involved. It was still immoral, the road to hell, paved by that type of thing. But now it's just pure cynical mercenaries who will do anything they're told. And that's the nature historically of tyranny, is that it just progresses by increment until the bottom falls out. But when you see the announcement of the Pentagon and the CIA and the White House to give tens of billions of dollars to every major media outlet and to have the Pentagon openly try to buy off even small bloggers to stir up infighting and disinfo, the fact that they're mainlining that announcement is an attempt so that when it comes out they're doing it, it isn't like, ooh, we caught the Army planning fake news. It's that, well, that's no big deal. It's to inoculate psychologically, because you see, they can't just have their 20 or so, I'm guesstimating, at the Washington Post that are naval intelligence and CIA and then Ford Foundation above intelligence agencies, foundation operatives. That way there's no government oversight. I know of about 20 known operatives at the Washington Post currently. Bob Woodward, Naval Intelligence. The list goes on and on. Bernstein, CIA. He doesn't probably like that announcement. The point is that things like that are going on, and then you've got CNN that's been the model since Ted Turner launched it with military satellites to broadcast the video feeds, is CIA, 100% up one side, down the other. MSNBC's like Foundation, Ford Foundation, Carnegie, Rockefeller Endowment, White House, State Department. I mean, different agencies get different media ops. It's like they divide, okay, you manage this one, you manage that one. Fox News is kind of like the Republicanoid, Heritage Foundation, management arm situation to kind of control the right wing. But now it's time to get rid of that, so they're figuring out that there's going to be no room at the top for them. This is a purely socialist, communist system in its prime vein. So now this whole mainlining, this whole announcement of this happening is just so it can be, oh, hi, guys. Here's somebody from the White House, the Department of Defense, or the CIA, and all the women blush. Ooh, isn't he handsome? Yeah, I'm here to help you. We're here to work with the public, work with America. And here's Colonel Johnson. One morning, from the Army, it's just a main line that you're going to work right. This is the takeover. This is the full takeover. Because they don't want to just have their people that they then put on TV and the reporters that they magnify and the reporters that they give all the attention so that all the junior reporters mimic what the Operation Mockingbird operatives do. That doesn't work anymore. They need everybody at the Austin American-Statesman and everybody at the New York Times, and everybody at the LA Times, and everybody at the local TV station to pull as one. And to say, yeah, we get orders directly from the government, and they direct what you're going to do, and that's the way it works now. That's all being announced everywhere now. And the Pentagon is coming out as of last week and saying, the only group we don't control is the bloggers, people like Drudge Report. We're going to interface with them. We're going to become their sources so they trust us. And the people in the audience are just shaking their heads because they've done this in third world countries and taken over. They know this is a full takeover of America. That's why they look so depressed and freaked out. A few younger, gullible people that got up and asked questions are like, we don't lie anymore? And he goes, well, you'll see. Now, don't say we lie. So this is the full immersion in the true state-run, globalist-run, corporate-run, foundation-run media. This is you've exposed we're government-run? You bet. Now we're coming for you. And so if you think there's been infighting and buy-offs and everything else, get ready to see who's been paid off. I mean, you're going to see bloggers and alternative media people. Most of them have already been bought off or paid off, and some of that's even come out to attack us. Now it's going to be you're going to see just the guns in the next year. It'll take them a year to get it organized. They're going to just swing around and start blasting us 24/7. And that's fine. We're prepared for that, and we're ready. We've already hit the barbed wire. We've already taken out the enemy operation machine gun nest. We're moving towards the final objective. So, I mean, we're ready for it because we got the guy upstairs in Providence. So fire away. If it's God's will, you'll destroy me. And it may be God's will that I blow up and burn in front of everybody. Fine. Maybe it's God's will that we move through the enemy and defeat them. Good. I don't pray for anything. I just say, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Period. Period. So I'm ready, but you need to understand, folks, this is it. And then they're coming after all the pension funds. It's already started, as I told you, public and private. They're coming after your children. They're coming with forced inoculations. They're coming after the language. They're gonna arrest you for saying, I want a Negro Modelo beer. They're going to arrest you if you say, I want a Schwartz during Oktoberfest. They're going to arrest you in Seattle if you say, I want a brown bag special at your business. I'm not joking. We actually have a newscast on that. They're going to arrest you if you call yourself a citizen. I'm not joking. That's coming. They're going to arrest you, basically. This is it. This is the. I'm not joking, by the way. That's mainstream news. If you don't want your kids taught how to, have anal sex when they're 5 years old by the pedophile government, you're going to be arrested. You don't want to give them a shot, you're going to be arrested. You don't want to turn your guns in, you're going to be arrested. So that's all coming up when we come back. And then Big Benghazi Gate, we told you it was a gun-running operation.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fire.
Welcome back. I am your host, Alex Jones. So let's go ahead and plunge into the geopolitical news. And then in the next segment, I'll get into the political correctness that is designed to basically paralyze everyone intellectually. And then attached to that psychological phobia to upset someone, a political agenda of good, support socialism, turn your guns in, get rid of your family, live in a coffin-size apartment, accept Agenda 21, prove that you are part of the cult. We're being nudged, henpecked, into submitting to the globalists, who are a bunch of murdering robber barons with giant private armies above the law that run giant child kidnapping and sex slave rings, telling us, oh, look, you said you have a brown bag special. That's meant to be racist. And people go, what, you're joking? And they go, no, I'm not racist. That teapot looks like Hitler. We're going to get to that. But first, look at this article. This is out of the London Telegraph a year after we told you. We told you this within a week, and we told you this in the first month, and we have all the articles we wrote and all the guests we had on. CIA running arms smuggling team in Benghazi when consulate was attacked. That's right. They wanted to get rid of the substation safe house that had a huge warehouse behind it full of heat-seeking missiles and heavy and medium arms. Folks, this came out day one, just like they blew up the 23 Navy SEALs. And then some of them lived on the ground and had contractors kill them to get rid of the witnesses that there was no bin Laden raid. It was all fake. There was a raid there, but it wasn't who they said. And there was no body on the ship, and that's now come out. There was no burial, and they've classified, even from above top secret in the Pentagon, anyone being able to see those reports. You can't see the report of the downed SEALs. You can't see the report of the bin Laden because there is no report. It's fake, ladies and gentlemen. And the families are now coming out and saying that, and they can't kill all of them. Oh, the CIA had been subjecting operatives to monthly polygraph tests in an attempt to suppress details of a U.S. arms smuggling operation in Benghazi that was ongoing when its ambassador was killed by a mob in the city last year. Yeah, that was the hired security for Benghazi. That was the main command base in the year-plus war to overtake Gaddafi using al-Qaeda. Up to 35 CIA operatives were working in the city during the attack last September on U.S. consulate that resulted in the death of Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 other Americans. Well, yeah, they had checkpoints down the street trying to catch the people that got away. They didn't want any witnesses getting away. They were directing the al-Qaeda forces to kill everyone so there would be no witnesses as to who gave them the heat-seeking missiles. Because they're going to let al-Qaeda shoot down aircraft all over the Western world, and they're going to set up checkpoints, and they're going to take our rights. And it won't matter when I get on. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the second day of August 2013. I am your host, Alex Jones, on this Friday Worldwide edition. Thank you so much for joining us. We have popping in at the bottom of the next hour the $100,000 winner, first place prize winner of the Operation Paul Revere film contest for the film The Purge. And Michael Dorman will be joining us at the bottom of the next hour. James Dillingpole will then join us for part of the third hour to discuss his London Telegraph research of 97%. We actually already knew this, but I'm glad he did the research. 97. It was more than I thought. I thought it was around 90. Because I'd found a few small oil companies that weren't funding it. 97% of the climate change, global warming fanatics are funded by oil companies. We'll be explaining why that is. When you say, listen, I don't think we should shut down all our power plants. They're totally clean. China has dirty ones. We can't compete. Shut up. You work for the oil companies. Well, actually, I don't work for the oil companies. I work for common sense and having an industry in this country. So that's going to be coming up so incredibly important. Now, we have huge news on the science front, massive news on the Benghazi front as well, and huge news on the BBC and the British government pedophile front that I've got to get to, because I had this news yesterday. More's come out today, and I didn't cover it because I kind of psychologically shy away from this. It's so horrific. I'm not a big fan of horror movies either. I don't just like horror for horror's sake, and it's very upsetting, but we're going to cover it. Celebrity arrest could soar after horrified police discovered Jimmy Savelle's secret lair, secret room at record shop. This is the guy who was the most trusted confidant of the royal family, including the Queen of England. And there is a reason all of this is coming out now. Undoubtedly, this has been known for decades. They are blackmailing the British royalty to fully sign all their power over to the Rothschild Rockefeller bank combine. So this is the true fall of the House of Windsor you're seeing right now with the blackmail. And you're also seeing the globalist move on Rupert Murdoch with the hacking scandal, threatening to arrest him if he doesn't basically submit to their takeover. So this is very serious information going on right now, and I'm going to be breaking that down as well. Also, I've been telling you about this for really about 17, 18 years on air, but I learned about it a few years into the broadcast. And that's plastic chemical BPA may harm human fertility and cause cancer. And that's a new study, a big scientific study they're reporting on Fox News. That's today. The answer, of course, by White House-run MSNBC will be to come out and say that I say that they're making people gay with juice boxes. When what I actually said and what I actually covered was the fact that it also has that side effect. So we're going to be going over that report as well. Also, here's a CNN headline today. Your TV might be watching you. Oh, really? I told people this 16 years ago when I was visited by a Time Warner high level. I'm not going to say how high level. They can go back to the time to figure out who it was. But a high-level engineer in Time Warner in Central Texas. And when I broke the news that the televisions had hidden microphones and that some even had hidden cameras, I was given death threats. And I mean the type where they tell you what your girlfriend had for lunch. That kind, where they have, private goons following you around and things. They did not want this out at that time. Now it's time to roll it out to the slaves. So there's CNN, told you so again. And again, I'm not up here every day going, told you so, 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 about my ego, okay? In fact, this is scary to know that I know their program very well, better than almost anybody on air. I've spent my life trying to discover reality, not the fiction that's put out as the cover medium. And
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
You remember earlier this week we had the magician on who is charged tens of thousands of dollars a year in fines and fees and regulations and has to create a disaster plan for the rabbit he uses in the show. You've, of course, heard about them wanting $5,000 a day fines for dust, hay dust in a barn. You have just seen all the madness that's going on to shut down our economy and to collectivize this nation. But I have several videos today. One of these actually went up yesterday morning on Infowars.com, but I'm going to be getting to it later in the hour. An animal shelter took in a baby deer, so they SWAT teamed them because they put a YouTube video out about it, and a bunch of good neighbors tattled on them that it was supposedly illegal. And so they came and killed the baby deer and put it in a body bag. Armed agents raid animal shelter for baby deer and kill it. WISN TV. Now, again, these are being run over all day, ladies and gentlemen. But if you try to save one, the bureaucrats are going to come after you. Then I have City of Seattle bans the words brown bag and bans the word citizen. Both are offensive. Now, again, you've got real racism going on. White against black, black against white, you name it. You've got the so-called left, coming out. And, I mean, I heard one of the leftist local talk show hosts yesterday morning say that anybody who's poor, i.e. minority, should be forcibly sterilized. They had a whole hour-long show about that with the favorite son liberal talk show host here in Austin. And I was driving into work listening to this, just going, I'm really hearing this? Because that's liberal to kill black people, to make sure they don't get born. But don't say brown bag. That's like we posted a joke satire video Nancy Pelosi caught in secret caught in secret Obamacare meeting. It's just hilarious, and you know, it shows the Affordable Care Act as a turd wrapped in the bill, and people are all over that on YouTube and on Infowars.com saying it's racist code word. No, sometimes a turd is a turd. We're saying that it's a horrible pile of Bravo Sierra. You know, like you say, that car's a lemon, that car's a, or I tell you, you know, this employee is a, are you miserable little, I think I've called my dog that before, you know, when I've walked to the house at night and stepped in it. You little, but no, when I call my dog that, it's racism. I didn't know that. Again, this is an attack on free speech and the hate laws they want to put in to arrest whoever they want. That's coming up. Brown bag. No, brown bag is associated for over 150 years with cheap mass-milled pulp paper. And that's why you call it brown bagging it. Brown bagging it means bringing your own lunch. And they know that. They want to expand it out to a point. I told you they arrest you in England for using the word homosexual, even though that's just a scientific term, like heterosexual, homosexual, Caucasian, Negro, all that supposedly is racist. There's white groups that don't want the word Caucasian used. They say it's hurtful. These are just names. Like I've actually seen articles where people got mad in a restaurant because someone ordered a Negro Modelo. In fact, try to pull that up. It was a few years ago. I think it was in Dallas. People got mad, and there was a big scene. It was white yuppies that got mad. They heard the word negro. Didn't know in Spanish that just means black. It just means I want a dark beer. You know, in German it means Bock. I guess Bock means dark beer. That's racist too, folks. Can't say Bock beer. Can't say Negro Modelo. Can't say I want a brown bag special. You know, a lot of lunch places say you want the brown bag special, and you get your barbecue sandwich and your chips and your pickle and drink for, you know, $4 or whatever, and it's called, you know, it's a special. That's racist. So you're all looking for secret racism everywhere, but instead of the real racist stuff going on in front of you, the UN, you know, running mass murder operations in Africa to take people's land. It's even the New York Times. Nobody gets in trouble. Remember, a teapot might look a little like Hitler, like a cloud, so you ban that. My dog looks like he has a Hitler mustache. Should he be euthanized? And I'm not joking. There may come a day when the death squad comes in the politically correct world. I tell you, I just can't believe it. It's all coming up. Big Benghazi news.